Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition, the July 1st edition of the Morning Bullring, 100% short track racing, hashtag more short tracks. Wesley Outland, Zach Evans hosting with me today. Zach, I don't have on my regular polo dressed up shirts like normal. I am supporting, though, the hashtag more short tracks apparel.
That honestly took me by complete surprise when I walked in to see you not wearing a polo.
Do I look good?
I mean,
does it have anything to do with the polo?
No.
Good morning, Raging Bull. Mark Keeler. How are you, my friend?
I'm here. Good morning.
So, do you like the shirt? I mean, obviously, you got to like the shirt, right? But
yeah.
Obviously, it's different than me being dressed up with a polo all the time, right?
The question was, does the shirt have anything to do with you looking good or not?
I think I look good. Well, I guess, right? I guess.
That's all that matters.
Yeah. You got to feel good.
yes,
How was your weekend?
it was pretty good. Went up to Nashville. Went to the Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville this weekend. Pro Late Mall action. And pretty good, fun weekend all around. And got to drive back yesterday and settle in and enjoy the rest of my evening and get some rest for today.
Yeah, if you get a chance to, I don't know if you guys seen it or not, but I read it last night driving, coming back home, or coming to Charlotte. Go on Claire Formosa's Facebook page and read her post in regards to the Fairgrounds Speedway Nashville. Mark, I mean, truly a touching post. It's about 3-4 paragraphs long, but it's truly from the heart.
It was nice to see them get a weekend in with no threat of rain, nothing to stand in their way. Actually, just get one weekend where they can advertise racing and go racing and no weather delays. So that was good to see for them out there.
And I hope we show the crash.
Yes,
I know you covered it. Man, that was a big one there. When I saw that yesterday in the highlights, part of the Speed 51 network.
Yeah, it was definitely and I was fortunate enough to catch it because it was a restart, so I was just wide. I didn't even see it personally, but I saw the smoke in my viewfinder, and fortunately I got it. And like you say, you saw it in the highlights, and definitely a few tempers after that, but short track racing, you know.
Joining us also, of course, running the boards is Raging Bull Mark Keeler. Behind him is Tom Ryan.
Don't scream, Wesley.
Tom, how you doing, buddy? Good morning.
Good morning, Wesley.
Why are you wearing a bright vest for?
Because when I don't have a jacket here at work and it's really cold, I just wear a vest.
Got you. Okay.
Style.
I love it.
Thank you.
He's sporting it. He's sporting dirt car racing in the back. So definitely. But hey, Mark, what a show at Lakeview Motor Speedway.
Yep,
and we're going to look at the highlights from
here.
Nashville. Quickly to the highlights. And by the way, it's all on the Speed 51 network.
Tom's scrubbing through it live right now to find the wreck. We're going to see how good he is live on the air.
We're going to find it.
He's got
It
it.
should be getting close.
Yeah.
It's about right at the three-quarter mark, wasn't it?
Yep, and Zach did a good job at teasing it on our network on Twitter. And
I was honestly surprised he didn't go straight to the tweet.
Sterling Marlin actually shared the tweet and had an interesting little caption of his own to add to it.
I missed that, but I'm not surprised.
Funny.
Well, it was his car that got the worst.
His car
he
is
was
the
not
black
driving.
one on the outside right there, and then it's the orange car on the inside.
Yep,
this
here
is
we
where
go.
the wreck happens.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
And
go.
That's a
And
lot of
wow.
damage.
And you know, Mark, this reminds me so much of Bristol with these types of crashes because, like, bottom line,
Oh, my gosh.
yeah there's a fight.
Well, don't
Well,
have to scream.
Okay, but basically, look at the safety crew, like, manhandling this guy.
Tom, back up to the wreck again. And I think the interesting thing, and this is what people are pointing out online that I've seen with the comments so far, is that it happened before they ever got to the corner.
Yeah.
Is where the contact happened. So that's what Sterling Marlin and his driver were quite upset about towards the other guy. And, of course, you see there the driver. A little bit of a Stephen Nasse move there, which I'm not all against. But, yeah, tempers flaring. So good job by Zach to keep the camera rolling and get that on video.
The whole time, as soon as he got out of the car, all I could hear was Mark Keeler in the back of my head going, don't leave the driver. Don't leave the
Never
driver.
leave
And
the
sure
driver.
enough, he went right to
Stay with
the
it.
other car.
Anytime the driver gets out of the car, you always stay with the driver. You got to stay with the driver.
You know what, though, Mark? It looks like from the replay, if we'll show it again, the car that was on the right side of the car that got clipped, but where they made contact, his right rear got into the right front.
Well, yeah,
or the
that's
left
what-
rear got into the right front, and it just turned him.
Right, but the question, and unfortunately, when you're in the grandstands or at this angle, it's hard to tell. The question is, where did the contact occur? In other words, was the 114 coming down the track, or was the other car coming up the track? That's going to be the controversy and what everybody's talking about. Yeah, obviously they got together. That's what caused them to spin. Was
Right.
left rear into right front. That goes without saying. But
Well, I know
you
the
see
golden
here,
rule.
And I always said it when I was announcing at the track, is that there's only two guys that know what happened.
Yes.
And it's those two right there. And you're going to get a different story from each, and somewhere in the middle lies the truth.
Well,
So-
I don't know how it is in the asphalt racing world, but in the dirt track racing world, you never hook the right rear of a car. If you hook the right rear of a car, you're setting yourself up for
well,
disaster.
that was the left rear, but yes.
Right. That's my point. I mean, so, just a different set of circumstances, like you said, in this whole occasion. So, but nobody got locked up or anything, did they, Zach?
Not that I'm aware of. but
Everybody calmed down. So
yes,
it's good.
yeah, cooler heads did prevail, and it didn't really escalate beyond the point in the highlights.
But
So-
like you were alluding to before, Wesley, we had a great night at Lakeview Motor Speedway.
Wow.
A ton of super late models with the Ultimate Southeast and Rambo Franklin taking the win. He was the last person into his car on the front stretch.
He was literally climbing into. I'm coming back from doing some interviews for the Speed 51 Twitter coverage presented by PFC Brakes, and I'm looking and I'm seeing feet up in the air, and I'm like, what in the world's going on here?
They dropped his
His
receiver,
receiver, and
so.
it got embedded under the seat of the driver's seat where Rambo sat at. So literally, one of the Ultimate officials, they had to run into the pit area and grab another receiver and make sure that he had that one-way communication for Kelly Carlton.
But I'll tell you what, it wasn't a cakewalk for him. And the name of the second place is eluding me.
Trent
right?
Ivey, the
Thank
little
you.
head knocker.
He did good. He put some pressure on him. It definitely wasn't easy for Franklin, but great race all in all, and a great facility down there. Scott Tripp and them.
Yes.
You're not going to find two nicer people to work with, I don't think, him and his wife, than in short track racing. So great time to be had down at Lakeview.
I was so happy for Scott and Sophie Tripp and Tim and Alan Dietz and everybody that's involved with Lakeview Motor Speedway and what they've done re-resurrecting that place, because it was literally to the point where it was going to become a dormant track. And what they've done is just phenomenal. And in addition to just improving the racing and keeping the track open, Mark and Zach, they have also done so many different amenities, like putting in They put in a new PA system. You installed it.
Yeah,
Friday
afternoon.
Yes. Grandstand seats, adding more clay, adding more banking around the racetrack. Here's some of the highlights, Zach, of the Old Glory 40. And by the way, Tom Ryan, 9 for 9. There are 9 different winners on the Ultimate Super Late Model Series Southeast for 2019.
I don't know how I missed those fireworks. I mean, I was working at the time shooting video for MAV TV with Alan Dietz.
Yes.
That's obviously how I missed the fireworks, but man, those fireworks were amazing. How did I saw your picture online? That's exactly how I first saw it. Or it was a video, actually.
Yes, it was for Twitter.
Yeah. How did the fireworks look from the front stretch, Mark?
Oh, they looked incredible. And that's a kind of a staple with Fast Track and Ultimate, and
Yes.
and that's one of the things I love about those series is they do the fireworks, the 4-wide salute. It really gets you amped up for a green flag. It's not just, okay, the cars are coming off of turn 4 and we're just going to drop the green and let them go. And it's one of the things that adds atmosphere to it, and I'm all for it. And I think it's great. Every Ultimate show, Fast Track show you go to, they've got some kind of presentation, and they try to make it something that, like I said, just kind of get you amped up for that green flag and get you going. Tommy Tutter did a great job on the microphone for the Ultimate Series. So it was just all in all a great night, all around a great crowd on hand at Lakeview. So couldn't be happier for the folks down there. And we were very glad to have it as part of Summer Thunder TV on Speed 51 Network. And, of course, it'll be part of Speed 51 Short Track America on MAV TV. But if you can't wait that long, get on the network, watch the highlights. It was a great race.
Yes,
a lot of
it was.
action throughout the field, and then Zach Mitchell having to go to the rear, and we've got some good highlights of him racing his way back up. He had to go to the tail end of the field on a caution flag after having some work done out on the track. So watching him come through the field was fun. Just a great night.
That's the first caution flag coming out for Dean Bowen, the driver of the 55 entry out of Whiteville, North Carolina. Here's the restart. As again, all of these highlights, editorials, race recaps, and more is all part of the Speed 51 network, as Mark reiterated on. But guys, super late models returning for the first time in 23 years.
Awesome. Did you
Saturday
guys
night.
say about the record-breaking car count?
Yes. Oh, man, what a
Okay.
car count.
Yeah.
The last time there were supers there was in 1996. It was won by Skip Arp.
Yep.
It was the dormant Hava-Tampa Super Late Model Series. As here's Rhino Ryan Gifford going for a spin in car number 23 at the bottom of the racetrack.
Squirrel.
What?
We're talking about the car count.
Squirrel.
I know, but the car
Get
count was
sidetracked.
phenomenal, though. 34 cars. I just break into the announcer mode. I'm sorry. I see the cars. I just, but yes. But what a great show, though, Zach. I wish you would have been there, buddy.
I was really until the Nashville rainout. I was planning on from a week ago.
Right.
I was planning on being at Lakeview. I was going to be part of that crew and was looking forward to it. But until we perfect the cloning technology behind the scenes here at Studio 51,
And you will be the first one we clone, Zach.
I will take that as a compliment.
You should.
Thank you,
Th-
sir.
There is
you'll
only
be the
one.
first.
There is only one.
Well,
Wesley Outland.
Yeah, there's
Thank
only
God.
one
There's
of
only
every
one.
one of us. But
Hey, and by the way, Bob Dillner is on vacation with his family, and we got to meet Jordan Taylor, his son-in-law.
Yep.
The other couple of days ago. Awesome
some of us
group.
have already met him.
Well, I didn't.
You're new to the game.
I am.
But actually, yeah, here. This is them trying to
here
find
it is.
Rambo's receiver
Yes.
in the car pre-race. All the other drivers are strapped in, and I believe at this point the engines have fired.
And you see me standing behind the right rear of the car, clueless, like, what is he doing?
We're used to seeing you clueless. But,
Seriously.
You got the guy's feet sticking out of the side of the car, and Rambo was head deep in the bottom of the seat. He was down there digging for that.
He was desperate. He was dedicated.
I don't blame him.
You know what? But that shows the dedication, though, that these guys have. They know the procedures. They know that they have to have the receivers. If people that are tuning in to the Morning Bullring, if you're not familiar with what a receiver is, a receiver box, Zach Evans, is a little yellow box that is a special transmitter channel. It's a default channel, and it is to the race director in the tower. It's a one-way communication, where normally in asphalt racing you can have two-way radios like crewers and spotters and to the drivers communicating. Mark, you can't do that with dirt track racing. I love it.
And I mean, I'll go on. I'm going to kind of take Bob's place here and go on a little quick soapbox.
Okay.
And honestly, I think the receiver is one of the best things ever brought to
Amen.
short track racing.
Amen.
I think they need to do away with spotters in short
Yes.
track racing and give everybody a receiver. That's just my personal opinion. And trust me, I take nothing away from the spotters. They have an unbelievably hard job. I wouldn't want to do it, but I think spotter racing is part of what has killed short track racing. And I think it leads to issues. And like I said, I take nothing away from spotters. They have an unbelievably tough job, and the vast majority of them are great at what they do. But I think it's taking some of the control and the decision-making out of the driver's hands. And personally, I'm not a fan of that. I think when drivers become responsible for their own actions, then it's much better. And I think they might think twice on some of the decisions they make. And again, I mean, a spotter can only see so much. At the end of the day, it's the driver. They've got their feet on the pedals. They've got their hands on the wheel. So at the end of the day, the ultimate decision is theirs. But I think if you take that out of the short track racing realm, and there's some tracks that you need it just for visibility. And I mean, back in the early 90s when cars would go to, regular short track cars would travel to a place like Oswego, New York, and they've got the wall to the inside, you need a spotter, you need radios just for safety reasons. But I think with with them bringing the receiver in, the race director can call caution all at the same exact time. Everybody hears it. Everybody hears where it's at, and everybody's lifting at the same time. You're not counting on a spotter to have to talk to a driver. And
Exactly.
And in an incident like we saw, to bring up like the JoJo Wilkinson incident at Five Flag Speedway, had there been receivers and no radios, then the driver that came in there would have heard that there was a yellow and where it was. Unfortunately, with a two-way radio system, if driver's talking to spotter can't talk to driver. So I think it's hurt more than it's helped. And that's just my little personal opinion for this morning.
What is your thoughts on the subject, Zach Evans? You get on the soapbox with Raging Bull Mark Keeler. He was literally turning red as he was talking about it.
That's the camera.
I think, he's 100% spot on with it. Certainly it would be an adjustment and to see that brought in to the other side of the spectrum, to series that are used to having Spotterville and all of that. But I definitely think at the very least, when there's an incident on the track, it would be a much more effective method of communicating that information. And we want to take the moment to, thank everyone who's already tuning in, commenting on Facebook. If you are watching, be sure to comment, share, let us know where you're watching from. Thank you for tuning in. Already got some comments pouring in. Alex James wishing us a good morning. Good morning to you as well. Mackie Flood.
I saw that one.
Sterling Marlin wasn't happy. He sure was not, Mackie. And Kyle Armstrong, Tucker Wingo is the man. I believe we failed to mention Tucker Wingo was the driver of Sterling's 114
it was
in that
not
crash.
Sterling.
Kyle Armstrong offering his support for Tucker Wingo.
Did you see Michael Hill chiming in? Says, my dad raced at Stockton 99. They had no radios. That was in 1997. All they had to rely on was the flagman and the lights.
Wow.
And to go along with that, that's where I think the receiver has a benefit, a huge benefit. But even ARCA has, like, the yellow light on the dashboard, you know, so they'll chime that on.
Hey, and here's something else. We were talking about Lakeview earlier, Mark. Here's something I noticed. I didn't know if y'all even seen it or not. But they have 2 flag stands.
Yep, they have. And I actually asked the race director at the track about that. They have a second flagman in turn 2.
Yes.
And that's because of the way they pit trailers right up against the fence. So, again, that goes back to the sight lines that I talked about, and some tracks need that. So when the flagman's throwing the green flag, the guy in turn 2 is also throwing the green flag, yellow flag, white flag, checkered flag, the whole, except the checkered flag, I should say.
No, he shows the checkered flag.
But after,
yeah,
that's the only flag that, well, I guess all of them kind of come after. But yeah, it's actually a cool little addition. I saw it when we first went down there for our site survey a couple months ago, and I was confused as to why there was a stand in turn 2. But yeah, they have a flagman down there, and it's the type of thing I think, more tracks should look into. All the tracks have safety workers. It's not that expensive to get an extra red or a yellow flag, especially I'd say red and yellow are the only 2 they need. Because unfortunately, and I think part of this goes back to spotters too, and I don't want to pigeonhole spotters because, like I said, I have a ton of respect for them and what they do and their job. But, when they're talking back and forth and the race director's trying to call red, well, they're not hearing it.
Right.
The drivers aren't hearing it. And we saw it the other night at Lakeview in one of the support divisions. They're calling red flag for a major wreck, and there's a driver still driving around the track. Well, all you're doing is delaying the amount of time it's going to take safety workers to get there.
Yes.
And it may not seem like a big deal to the person that's still driving, but if it was them in that wreck or if there was a fire or something, and it's just everybody looking out for everybody. So, but I tell you what, before we get any later, let's go to the phone line and bring up the editor of Speed51.com, Mr. Brandon Paul. Good morning, Brandon. How are you?
I'm doing good, guys. I'm glad to hear Mark talking and whatnot because I thought this was I didn't know if you guys were going to get a word in this morning.
We're all just having fun chatting it up. But how was your weekend, Brandon?
Well, it was. It ended up didn't even go to a racetrack, unfortunately. Was supposed to go yesterday to the Pass Open Oxford 250 qualifier at Oxford Plains Speedway, but unfortunately, rain and a poor weather forecast forced officials to postpone that event. So I was looking forward to that one right in my backyard, but unfortunately didn't get to do that. So I was busy watching 5 races this weekend on Summer Thunder TV on Speed51.com on Saturday night. I mean, we had a full plate of racing. Obviously, you talk a lot about Nashville. We have the highlights of that, but then live we had the Midwest Tour at Rockford, JEG CRA All-Stars Tour at Anderson, Ultimate Super Late Models at Lakeview, and last but not least to end the night, I think we did go into the morning on Sunday was the SRL Southwest Tour Series Super Late Models at Kern County Raceway. So I watched a lot of racing this weekend, but unfortunately none of it was at the racetrack.
Well, that's not entirely true, Brandon. You started your week off early on Wednesday night at Seekonk. What was that show like?
Actually, yeah, you're right. You're right. You got me there. Yeah, that was. I love that show. It's, in my opinion, it's one of the better modified shows of the year. I mean, obviously, every year you look forward to New Hampshire and you look forward to the big shows at Thompson, the Icebreaker, in the World Series, and then at Stafford you have Spring Sizzler, the SPM 125 at Star. But Open Wheel Wednesday is always such a cool event. A huge crowd comes out. I mean, there's always so much talk about can midweek shows be successful, and I think we see enough examples throughout the country that the answer to that is yes, and that was the case Wednesday night at Seekonk. A great crowd, in a good race too. I mean, obviously you go into any of those tri-track modified races, and you're looking at big money Matt Hirschman as the guy to beat, and he was there. Ronnie Silk was there, but pit strategy kind of mixed it up a little bit. Those two went to the pit area. I think it was just past the halfway mark, and once they pitted, they were deeper in the field, and they never were able to get the breaks that they needed to get back through the field, and that opened the door for Matt Swanson, a young kid up here, rising star, and another rising star in Ronnie Williams, to battle it out. And Williams came out on top, and that was just 3 days after he scored the big win at New Hampshire Motor Speedway at the New England Short Track Showdown. So he was on a roll. And then 2 days later, Ronnie Williams goes to Stafford Motor Speedway, the SK 5K, the richest SK modified race in the country, $5,000, and he wins that race too. So a lot of talk up here this week about what Ronnie Williams did, winning 3 huge races, pocketing over $20,000. He's on a hot streak, one of the hottest drivers in the country, and certainly probably the hottest driver right now in the Northeast.
And we're going to be actually chatting it up with Ronnie Williams later on here on the Morning Bullring. We are talking with Brandon Paul, editor for Speed51.com. Brandon, real quickly, bud, just talk about just the atmosphere at Seekonk Speedway. I know that Ken Schrader was running the NEMA Midgets program there, and I know that it was a really, really exciting program for a Wednesday night.
Yeah, it was, and you mentioned Ken Schrader, and obviously he had, with him appearing there, there was a lot of excitement leading into the race with Ken Schrader. I mean, if you're a race fan, who doesn't like Ken Schrader? So a lot of talk going into that, and like I said, there was obviously a ton of excitement because of that. Plus the fact that it's just a great event, anyways, with the Open Wheel Wednesday, $10,000 to win for the ground pounding modifieds, and then you also have the Dave Steele Classic for the NEMA Light and the Boston Louis Memorial for the NEMA Midgets, which are the 2 biggest races of the year for those two divisions of race cars. So it's always a great show. I think they had a ton of NEMA Lights, a great field, and of course they had over 30 tour type modifieds, and I think just under 20 midgets. But it was great racing, packed house, and stay tuned to the Speed 51 network because we're going to have another episode of Track Fight. Connor Sullivan and Woody Pitcat testing out Dell's Frozen Lemonade at Seekonk Speedway.
Well, it's no secret. I think anybody that knows me knows I grew up at Seekonk. That was my home track every Saturday night, and I can tell you that track was made for midget racing. The NEMA midgets at that place are unbelievable. Back in the day, growing up, it was basically the Drew and Nick Finoro show. But that place is unbelievable to watch midgets at. Typically, they go around there on 3 wheels with the left front way off the ground. But it's great to see them have success with that event. And I like the fact that pit stops play a big role in that race. And it seems like every single year somebody's pitting out of sequence and going to the back and driving their way in to watch those modifieds, watch them pass at that place because it is just a bullring. It's awesome to watch and just a great event. But we're talking modifieds and short track racing, and some big news last week, Brandon, out of the short track racing world and the modified racing world, coming up with Andy Seiss at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. And I know you've watched Andy for probably as many years as I have, and kind of cool to see another modified driver getting the nod to go up to the big leagues with Rick Ware Racing.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there's nobody more deserving for that opportunity, in my opinion, than Andy Seiss. I mean, obviously, you can make a case for your Bubba Pollards and whatnot. I wouldn't argue against that by any means. But Andy Seiss is your blue-collar, hard-working racer. And there was a comment made that really ruffled a lot of feathers by Nick Bromberg of Yahoo Sports. In my opinion, and I get what he was trying to say about the system being broken because of the fact that Andy doesn't have a ton of experience in trucks and in Xfinity cars, but he picked an awful example to try to make his point.
The worst one he could have possibly picked.
Yeah, because Andy Seiss, I mean, for one, the guy works his butt off in everything he does, whether it's his modified, whether it's the ARCA team that they go and under budget team and they go and contend with at the super speedways or whatever it may be. Andy Seiss deserves that ride on Sunday at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. No, he has not spent millions of dollars to try to run full time in trucks and Xfinity. He hasn't done that, but the system. And what Nick was trying to say in his tweet, I consider the system broken because of the fact that he thinks that Andy Seiss should have had to do that. And nobody should have to spend millions of dollars in trucks and Xfinity to be able to have a shot on Sunday. And what Andy Seiss has done, doing it the hard way, working his butt off in his modified and his ARCA team to get that experience, he's ready for New Hampshire Motor Speedway. He has probably more laps around New Hampshire than at least half the guys that will be competing against him in the NASCAR Cup Series. So for him to try to make that argument against Andy, out of all people, it was just, I don't think, it was foolish in my opinion. And I think it kind of shows the disconnect between some of these people in the NASCAR Cup Series and the short track racing routes, because I don't think Nick Bromberg probably knew what Andy Seiss has accomplished, who Andy Seiss is, and just how hard he's worked to get this one opportunity. So to try to use his argument about the system being broken against Andy Seiss, it was ridiculous in my opinion.
Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And you know, people that think that Andy Seiss, you know, he's got the ARCA team that they go and they run, you know, the super speedways with. And I can tell you for a fact, because, and I think Tom was with us, and Bob and myself, we've been to his house in Salisbury, and it's probably about an 800,000 square foot garage that he also runs his boat repair business out of. And that's where they prepare those race cars. And I mean, there's nothing glamorous about it. And Andy put up a great tweet. I don't know if you saw it, Brandon, with his hands dirty, and he said, "Just another rich kid." I don't know if you saw that tweet. It was a great tweet, and I can tell you, his work ethic, he's blue collar, but just his personality. Andy's one of those guys that would show up at Speed Weeks at New Smyrna that I couldn't wait to talk to when he'd come in, because he's just a good guy, a really good guy.
And Brandon, I just did a little bit of homework, and I knew this as a fact. I thought it was 6, but it's actually 8 super speedway starts between Daytona and Talladega in ARCA. So Nick Bromberg, you need to shut your mouth and do your homework, because that's ridiculous.
Everybody's on soapboxes.
Well, not only
today.
that, 4 top 10. Was it, Brandon? Is it 4 top 10 finishes?
Oh yeah,
in those cars.
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
What's wrong with Nick for not even doing a tiny bit of homework before he runs his mouth on social media? It's just, it's unbelievable. Andy Seiss belongs on New. Yeah, I mean, people, come on, it's not that hard to look up on Racing Reference.
I think in Nick's defense here,
there is no defense, because
hang on a minute.
It's a mile. He's been at Charlotte. He's been 8 times at Daytona and Talladega. Don't give me this nonsense.
I understand that, but as somebody that works in the media and does some things with NASCAR, I'm just going to say that a lot of people question today's drivers because of the way people climb the ladder and get in the cars, and, you know, daddy's money, and they're buying teams.
But like Brandon said before, he couldn't pick up a worse example.
Go ahead, Zach.
So you just assume because there's a flaw in the system that every driver who comes up the ladder is
I'm not
flawed?
saying that I agree with. I'm not saying that I agree with what Nick said. I think it's ludicrous because I know Andy Seiss also. I've seen him be successful in the modified program. The only thing that I'm saying is in a media guy's defense is that basically he said what that was because we are seeing a trend of this taking place in the organization.
But if you're going to be a legitimate member of the media, then you need to do some fact checking and some research before you go on social. I agree. It's irresponsible.
I agree.
It's irresponsible, and when that's who people on social media are turning to get their racing news and their NASCAR news.
Oh yeah.
And this is a person that's hired by Yahoo Sports to deliver that news, and you can't even you can't even open a book.
I mean, I thought it was disrespectful the way Lisa Spencer dished, Darrell Waltrip.
In 2019
that was
alone,
wrong.
Andy Seiss has qualified to run a mile race at Loudon. I mean, three big tracks: Charlotte, Daytona, and Talladega. Nick,
yeah,
he's
qualified.
Here's the thing I don't get too. The thing I don't get is what point are you trying to make by saying because Andy Seiss hasn't raced in trucks or Xfinity that he isn't qualified? Because as you mentioned, he has super speedway experience with ARCA, so he's handled the speeds. And he has 27, I'm looking it up right now, 27 career starts at New Hampshire Motor Speedway in a modified. So I just don't get what you're trying to argue in the fact that his argument was that he's not qualified. And I don't get why he's not qualified. Because, like I said, he has the experience at bigger tracks. He has the experience at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So I just don't get what the argument was. And like I said, I'm not saying I necessarily disagree with the point that Nick Bromberg was trying to make, but I disagree with the example that he tried to use here because, I mean, Andy Seiss at New Hampshire in his home state, I believe he's as qualified as anybody to be making that start in July.
And I think he's qualified because he's somebody who earned it on his merits. As opposed to just buying a ride. He earned it on his merits and that alone. So, I mean, I applaud Rick Ware Racing for going out and not doing what would be so easy to do, which is just take a check. Because I guarantee you there's people with checkbooks out there just, that would be happy to buy either themselves or their kid a ride at New Hampshire. So for Rick Ware Racing to go out and say, hey, you know what? Here's a guy who deserves the shot. I applaud them for that. So.
And also another thing to mention there with Rick Ware Racing, also making his debut at New Hampshire Motor Speedway, his Cup Series debut will be Austin Terrio, the Maine native. He's going to be making his debut. So Andy Seiss and Austin Terrio, two short track racers, will be teammates for that July Cup race at New Hampshire. So that should be interesting, and I think a lot of short track fans will definitely be pulling for that team when they get to the Magic Mile.
And both equally deserved the rides that they're going to be in my humble opinion. But, Brandon, coming up 4th of July, so you got any big plans, and then where are you headed to this weekend?
No big plans. I'm thinking about just having a night as a race fan. Beach Ridge Motor Speedway right here in Scarborough Lane has their annual fireworks midweek special Tuesday night. So thinking about just heading over there as a race fan and watching some super late model racing, and they usually have a pretty good weekly program over there at Beach Ridge. So be doing that. Friday night, Summer Thunder TV, Granite State Pro Stock Series at Lee USA Speedway will be there. If you can't make it out to the racetrack, we'll have a live broadcast of a feature race on Summer Thunder TV on speed51.com. And then after that, I don't think I have anything else this week. I think that's my lone race of the week. I'll probably be doing some customer care and watching some other races throughout the weekend. But as far as being at the racetrack, I think Friday night at Lee and possibly Tuesday night at Beach Ridge are my two races for this week.
Well, Brandon, thank you so much, buddy, for joining us as always. He's normally our first guest on the Morning Bullring, our senior editor, Mr. Brandon Paul, calling us from up north. So, Zach, before we go to break, what's your final take of this whole Andy Seiss thing? Because I saw you chime in a couple of times, but we just wouldn't let you comment.
I mean, to me, I think everybody just hit the nail on the head. It's clear to me he's qualified as much as anyone to run a race at New Hampshire. Yes, there might be an adjustment to the Cup car or whatever, but he's got the full-body stock car experience. He's definitely got the New Hampshire experience. And I think along with most of the people watching along with us, we'll be wishing him all the best up there.
All right, so there's your thoughts, and congratulations, by the way, to a great modified racer who deserves a Cup Series ride with Rick Ware Racing. Again, of Andy Seiss, we congratulate you on that, and maybe we'll get you on the Morning Bullring sometime. We are going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we will have another guest joining us, Renee Hackett of the PRA Tour, preparing for the Rusty Hart Memorial, a big annual race, 4th of July at Caraway. Be back with more of the Morning Bullring in a moment.
The Ultimate Supers.
Time to get this cranked up on Short Track America.
Dirt or pavement, from east to west. Short Track America features some of the biggest grassroots races around the country. Super late models to street stock racing. If it's on a half-mile or smaller track, it's on Short Track America. On MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
Twenty-two minutes before the hour of 8 a.m. It is 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. For those that are checking us out, welcome back to the Morning Bullring. Zach, Wesley, Mark, Tom, and Quiet Man over here. I think he's not feeling well as Robbie on set. He's just kind of putting stats in.
He was coming down with a cold all weekend at in South Carolina at Lakeview. He didn't say anything. I'll give him props. He didn't complain.
He never said
nothing.
anything to me.
And but I could hear him coughing up and that on the ride, so I knew he was getting sick. But he's a trooper. He never even said a word.
How you feeling? Are you feeling okay, my friend?
He's embarrassed now. Don't worry, we don't have a camera on.
He's a mime. He's a mime. You're not going to hear anything from him either. What's up, Tom?
Speaking of not feeling well, man, the heat did me in. I did not prepare well for that. It is 100% my fault. I spent yesterday I spent $70 on beverages for the rest of the year with Gatorade, water. I got my cooler. I really need to do better. And people, hydrate before you go to these tracks.
Absolutely. Yes. Take care of yourself. Absolutely. I mean, especially my buddy over here, he likes to drink a lot of energy drinks. You got to kind of cut
energy
back. You got what?
I need the. I'm drinking coffee this morning.
Well, lucky for Mark,
I'm
most
2
of
Red
the
Bulls
time,
in. But
I mean, the guy works his butt off at the tracks, getting
He
stuff
does,
ready.
yes.
But most of the time, he's in the tower. Which I envy that a lot. He doesn't have to carry a 35-pound camera on his shoulder like I do, but
yes.
And then also I'll have to carry Wesley around every once in a while, but that's another story.
We all carry Wesley.
That's true.
We all carry.
Don't we have somebody on the Hyperco?
We are. We're going to go to the Hyperco Performance line, and joining us on the program is the promoter of not only the Caraway Speedway, but she is also behind the PRA Tours, the Pastora Racing Association. PRA Tours getting ready for the big show with the Rusty Hart Memorial. And hopefully, Renee Hackett, the debut of the PRA Super Late Model Series. Welcome to the Morning Bullring.
Good morning.
So talk about the preparation ready for Caraway this weekend.
Yep, we're ready for Caraway. We're hoping to get our first super late model race in. The 2 that we had scheduled, of course, Mother Nature was not nice to us. So this is a reschedule. This date originally wasn't on our schedule, but we decided to add it to the Rusty Hart Memorial just to get a race in.
And you mentioned adding it to the Rusty Hart Memorial schedule. That was already an action-packed weekend with the Southern Modified Racing Series, the Southeast Limited Late Model Series, the 602 Tour. Talk tell these fans about if they go to the Rusty Hart Memorial this weekend, what a great value they're going to be getting with their ticket.
They're going to be getting a huge value. Tickets are $20. Huge value with all this racing. We've got, I haven't even added up how many laps we're going to do. Tons of laps. The modifieds are going to do 75 laps. The field's going to be up for it. Got some new guys coming in that are going to race that have not raced yet this year. Jimmy Wallace, I know a lot of you know he was a friend of Rusty Hart. He's got a modified. He's almost got his ready. He's been around. He's run late model limiteds. He's got some track championships. He's run late model super trucks at Caraway. Andy J's coming. Chase Dallin is supposed to be coming. He was supposed to be in the 17 car, and I'm thinking now maybe he'll be in Tomano's car. Putnam. We got lots. Meesemer's coming back. He's got his own car again. So we got plenty of modifieds that are coming. Of course, we have all of our regulars coming. And our super late models, we have several guys that are coming in it. Brennan Setzer, Cody Connor, Tyler Church is trying to get his ready. Jared Fryer, New Day Motorsports is coming back. GMS Racing is going to be fielding the car. Several more that's expected to come. So I think we're going to have a great show. We're going to have great value for the fans. $20 for all that racing. Great deal.
Well, and for the fans that don't know and aren't aware of the history behind the Rusty Hart Memorial, this is a big deal for Caraway Speedway each and every year. So can you give the fans a little bit of a backstory as to Rusty Hart and behind this race, the Rusty Hart Memorial?
Yeah, Rusty was here all the time. Rusty was just the kind of guy that would give you the shirt off his back. Everybody that knew Rusty loved Rusty. Every time you talked to Rusty, he would call the racetrack all the time, and we would talk all the time. And every time he would say, hey, if you need anything or I can do anything for you, you know where I'm at, give me a call. Can I help you in any way? And he was killed back in January 2007 in a farming accident. And then that just progressed that we started that year with the Rusty Hart Memorial, and we've been doing it ever since. His mom and dad come, his daughter comes, his wife at the time, she comes. It's just a great event. It's good for the family, good for the friends. Everybody loves to come out, and we've just been able to keep the tradition going.
And in years past, it has been a 200-lap late model stock event. And you've always ran it normally on July 3rd, July 4th, right around 4th of July. Talk about why you're doing it on July 6th for this upcoming weekend after the 4th of July holiday. And also, what was the idea of bringing in all of these PRA sanctioning programs and just running one big late model race that you've done for so long?
Well, last year we did a little bit different too with the Rusty Hart race. Our late model fields have just fallen off, of course. So we just decided to change it up. Normally, in years past, we used to do it on a Wednesday. It would always be a Wednesday event during the week. Then we had to move it to the weekend. So we always do it the week of the 4th. It just falls on that Saturday for the last, I don't know, probably about 5 or 6 years now. Bringing all the tour mods and all of our series in, it's just the group of cars that we have. We struggle with the late models. I don't know why. Cars Tour seems to have a great following with the late models. We've just gotten away from the late models. We can't draw any cars. We don't have any cars in our area. So we just decided to bring in the stuff that we already have.
So, for fans looking forward to going to Caraway this weekend, what time will gates be opening, and what time will racing get started this weekend?
Our grandstand gates are going to open up at 5 o'clock. We are going to have an on-track autograph session for the fans, and that's going to start about 6:15, and then the race will start at 7 o'clock. We do have a practice session on Friday. We'll do that from like 3 until 8, and we'll do free admission for the fans if anybody wants to come out and just watch them get their cars dialed in.
Again, we are talking to Renee Hackett on the Hyperco Performance line. Renee, real quickly, my final question for you is this. David Hoots, who's one of the most respected race directors in the entire country, just recently left NASCAR back after the Daytona 500. I was actually at Daytona when I talked to him for that race. How did you acquire David Hoots? Put it out, to be the race director for the PRA Tour. He's awesome.
He is very awesome. He's a great race director. He's a great organizer. He's helped our program substantially, and he will continue to do so. We're very happy to have him on board, and we're looking to see where this takes us in the future. I can't give away all my secrets on how I got him.
Well, okay.
That's fair enough.
Now,
Thank you, Renee.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Renee, but before obviously he became David Hoots and went off to NASCAR, didn't he cut his teeth a little bit at Caraway and some of the other tracks in the area?
He definitely did. He started with us at Caraway.
So y'all have a very long history together.
Correct.
That's all we're going to say. Renee, we'll let you go. Thank you for joining us. Real quickly, throw out the information on the race this Saturday, the Rusty Hart Memorial, and where everybody can follow the PRA Tour. Thanks for being on the Morning Bullring.
All right. Thanks.
Okay. She hung up. So, real quickly.
I think she missed it. You got to get to the question. You told her thanks for calling, and then you asked her the question.
PRAtours.com. I think is that the website? You got it in front of you, Zach.
Yes.
Come on, dude.
Yes.
Help me.
Yes.
PRAtours.com?
Yes.
Wesley, you're loud.
If I say yes one more time, maybe it'll sink in.
PRAtours.com. And you can also go to CarawaySpeedway.com, and you can find all the information.
Real quick, we got some more people chiming in on social media. Flying Brian Swartz says, "Good morning, guys, from Riverhead, New York." That's Bob's old stomping ground.
Yeah.
And then Mackie Flood chiming in again and says there has to be a Fogelman in the field for a big race at Caraway. So we're going to have to do some research and find out if Tate's going to be there.
Hopefully.
Running at Caraway this weekend. But, from the sounds of the names that she gave in both the modifieds and the late models, I mean, for this area, they've got the the names and the guys you want to be in the field. So I think it's going to be a great show. If you've never seen modifieds at Caraway, get out there. I love that track for modified racing.
You noticed that she said Andy Jankowiak,
Yes.
the Buffalo Missile.
Yeah.
Were you going somewhere with that?
She said Andy J.
Andy J is awesome. He was awesome on the ROC recap this week. Network subscribers, please check that out. What an interview! And him alone makes me want to go to this PRA Tours this week.
I just love the fact that I could say his name without butchering it.
I grew up
That is an accomplishment, actually.
I grew up a Tony J fan, Tony Jankowiak.
Okay,
So
that's his dad.
I'm a
right?
little older than you
well,
guys.
explain that for everybody. Just so I mean,
I don't
like,
know.
Well,
Yeah,
wait a
he's
second.
Tony
Wait a
J
second.
fan.
For the
is he
record,
his dad?
I don't know.
Brother?
Honestly.
Is it his
I
dad?
think I honestly don't know the relation. I just because I got out of the Northeast, so I
I'm
stopped
sure the
following
Facebook
modified
comments
racing.
will let us know shortly.
Yeah.
I'm
Connor
watching-
Sullivan probably will.
I'm watching. Connor will
hey,
definitely.
Raging Bull, I'm 35. So how old are you?
I don't want to say.
We're just putting that
I'm
out.
not as old as Tom.
Well, I mean, you're
who's
not
50.
bald headed
Tom's
yet.
50, Mark's 46.
I am.
45.
Keep
44?
going down.
44?
I'm gonna be 44 Labor Day weekend.
Oh, cool.
Snap.
And
What a way to close out the summer with Mark's birthday.
What a segue though, because I'm going to be that'll be Labor Day weekend, and I will be north of the border for the first time ever in Canada, and we're going north of the border with the Morning Bullring here after our next break with Kendra Adams chiming in.
And
What?
speaking
You
of
got your passport
Andy
yet?
Seiss, he's watching right now the Morning
Is he?
Bullring. Andy, good morning to you. He
Andy,
says
congrats.
he got killed at Stanford in 1990, and Tony Jankowiak is his father. That's
Okay.
his dad.
Thank you, Andy, for clarifying that. Before we go to break, though, and we want to send a huge congratulations out to Bubba Pollard and his wife on the birth of their second child, and looks like the name is Merritt Blue Pollard.
His family's starting to look a lot like mine, just a bunch of girls in the house with the dad.
It's always
But that's
so
amazing.
to see. I mean, just at first with just, Matt, seeing her around the racetrack and how much he just
Watching
loves.
her grow up.
Yes. Seeing her get pushed around in the little
Stroller?
Yes. But have you seen the stroller?
Yeah, his
Yes.
crew actually. We
Yes,
had gone
it's
down
awesome.
shortly after she was born. Rob Blount and I went down and spent the day at his house. And someday that footage is going to see the light of day if Tom gets on it. But the crew actually took one of those like little Tykes push along things, and unbeknownst to Bubba, the crew actually painted it up just black and yellow like his car. They went and found stickers. They even have a Speed 51 sticker on it. So
Wow.
Yes.
good call on that. But
Black and yellow, black and yellow.
yeah, it's
Every time somebody says black and yellow, I just think
it's
of
pretty
black
cool.
and yellow.
But
black
anyways,
and yellow.
congratulations going out to Bubba Pollard and his wife on the birth of their second child.
Yeah, not to mention the rest of the family because it's a huge deal. And I wonder how he's going to have both girls in the car going from Victory Lane to Tech, which is the new thing that Mac loves doing. I found out from Bubba. So she got upset with him a couple months ago about not doing that.
And just to follow up, you said we'd have to do research. Renee Hackett did it for us in the Facebook comments.
Oh,
Tate
sweet.
Fogelman will be
Awesome.
at Caraway Saturday.
So there you
There
go,
you go.
Mackie Flood. Tate Fogelman is racing on Saturday night.
So what is there? There's Tate Fogelman. There's Dean Fogelman. There's Jay Fogelman.
there's a lot of Fogelmans.
Yeah, a lot.
Proud.
Break time. When we come back, we're going to holler up in Canada with the beautiful Kendra Adams right here. Morning Bullring rolls on, wrapping up hour number 1, speed51.com.
The Fast Track National Tour races in the I-77 Speedway on Friday, July 12th, and Tyler County Speedway on Saturday, July 13th.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We will take you behind the scenes. Just a meathead. Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, historic races, and thousands of on-demand videos. The Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the greatest video coverage.
6 minutes before the hour of 8 a.m. Coming up on 7 Central. Welcome back to the Morning Bullring, your official video show every Monday morning, recapping everything that goes on in the world of grassroots racing. Zach Evans, Mark Keeler, Wesley Outland, Tom Ryan is in the house, and mute Robbie Johnston. We are going back to the...
At least he doesn't scream.
I'm not screaming.
You've been yelling all morning.
I'm
hey,
not.
Real quick, Connor Sullivan chiming in said maybe you guys should just leave all the Northeast modified facts to him. Sounds like the only thing we're leaving to him is all the eating at the racetrack.
Exactly.
So,
I think he's gained 10 pounds in less than a
How did
weekend.
he become Track Bites guy?
I don't know, but he doesn't mind it.
I was
I
gonna
wouldn't
do
either.
I was going to do track bites. I was going to do track bites at Lakeview, but they ran
didn't-
out of chicken bog.
I will tell you what, and I'm going to, okay, Lakeview right now has some of the best track food
Oh,
anywhere.
yes.
Virginia Motor Speedway has the title for the cheesesteak, but the ribs.
Oh, yes.
My goodness, the ribs at Lakeview were unbelievable. I paid extra to get 3 extra ribs on the plate, and Alan Dietz actually had to eat a couple of them for me because it was too much, but if you guys go to Lakeview Speedway anytime during the summer, go down to the pit concession and get the ribs. They're unbelievable.
We're getting ready to go to the Hyperco Performance line. Joining us on the line is driver/talent for Speed 51 and a first-time caller. And her race car is even on our table.
Yes,
right
it
here.
is.
Kendra Adams, how are you doing, young lady? Welcome to the Bullring.
Hello, I'm good. How are you guys?
How's things going in Canada?
It is nice. It's very, very sunny. It's very hot. It's our long weekend this weekend for Canada Day, which is tomorrow. I'm really excited for the long weekend, but it's been a busy one for sure.
Now, you say it's hot. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Very important question. What is the temperature in freedom units, please, in your current location?
So, as for the fans watching, freedom units is what Zach has dubbed Fahrenheit. I believe it's probably like low 80s here.
Well, that's not hot.
That is pretty warm for up there.
It's warm, but it's not humid. But she's trying to convert Celsius to Fahrenheit.
That sounds horrible, though. 80 degrees.
Yeah.
Oof. No thanks.
I think our feels like temperature at Lakeview was 106 on Saturday.
Yes.
Yeah, it usually doesn't get that hot here, but with the sun, our feels like is a little bit higher. And my face feels like 100 degrees because it got burnt pretty bad yesterday.
You've been seeing some really cool races up in Canada this year. Talk about the United Challenge Late Model program.
The APC series has been running a couple stops. They've done 4 so far of their 10 this summer. And we started off at Sunset, which is my home track. Always a great, clean race. We head over they did a stop at Flamborough. They did a stop at Chicago Motor Speedway, where we're going to see the short track nationals later this year. So that was the prelude to the nationals. Winner Brandon Watson is now guaranteed a spot in that race. And then this past weekend, we were at Delaware Speedway, where it's actually comical. The exact same top 3 in the exact same order from Jukasa was the top 3 we had at Delaware, which is pretty funny. And they're both big tracks, so there's definitely that combination you see there.
Okay, so Jukasa is the old Cayuga, correct?
Yes.
And, okay. So, because I went there a long time ago with the ISMA Super Modifieds. So I was just remembering that they did change the name of it.
Yeah, they recently just redid everything. They repaved the track. It's like, I'm sure you've heard all about how amazing of a facility it is. And, it's great to watch at. It's great to work at. It's great to race at, I'm sure. It's just a great place.
The background picture, that is Jukasa.
Yep.
Yes.
We've got a picture of you on the screen, but the background is Jukasa. So,
there you go.
pretty cool. Hey, tell everybody you've got a new venture here in 2019 that is on the speed51.com, which is the Outside Line, the podcast for those who didn't know about it, with yourself, and I cannot remember your cohort's name, but tell everybody about the podcast and why they need to listen to it, and some interesting things that you found along the way of doing the podcast, and then what you got coming up on it.
Well, yeah, so we've started this pretty cool podcast. It's called The Outside Line. As you said, I do it with Todd Lewis. He works in the Pinty series, and he's awesome. He's very knowledgeable about all types of racing. So we cover the Pinty series as well as APC series on the podcast. It goes out on speed51.com every Tuesday. It's all Canadian racing. We talk some NASCAR stuff when all that Ross Chastain stuff was going down, or, Haley Deegan moved Derek for the win. What do you think about that? And we just have, a good time on it, but we also shine light where it's really due, because we don't get to see a lot of that, extra broadcasting on our Canadian racing. So me and Todd wanted to, bring that to light to some new eyes, and hopefully the podcast will do just that.
Kendra Adams again joining us here on the Hyperco Performance Line, one of the natives up in Canada, joining us on the Morning Bullring as we wrap up hour number 1. Kendra, real quickly, weather up in Canada. I know you were talking about you're going through the Canada summer days now, but basically, have you had any weather-related delays, rainouts, like this American sport has this year?
Yes, we have raced. So yesterday would have been race 9 for the series that I'm in, which is NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series. And we have raced 2 times, actually 3 with yesterday. So it's pretty rough. We've had 6 rainouts so far, and it's kind of heartbreaking. I'm not going to lie. Really sucks, you put in the time and the effort and you get the rainouts. But I'm really glad that my track has been really proactive and they've been able to actually cancel early, which allows all of us racers to actually make something of our day instead of waiting around at the track in the pouring rain. So I'm really happy how they've done that this year. That's Sunset Speedway. So it's a bummer, but, it's the weather's coming around and hopefully it's here to stay.
And, of course, everything up in Canada, especially now, we saw the inaugural running of that Canadian Short Track Nationals at Jukasa last year. It'll be building up even bigger this year. How much are you looking forward to having that event coming up later this summer?
I'm really looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to the array of drivers that are going to be coming up here, because I love to see the talent that we have here in our pro late models, but when you get to see the mix between, the Bubba Pollards and the Carson Hostevars of the world with the drivers that I get to see weekly, it's really, really cool, and it's always a great show. I mean, you can't not have a great show with all this talent that's coming with a great track. So I'm really excited to see that, excited to see some of my 51 people again, because I miss you guys down there. Hopefully you guys will be smart enough to get your passports and come up here and visit me.
I'm working on it. Hey, real quick, what is the fan reaction like when you get somebody like a Bubba Pollard to go north of the border to Jukasa? What is the fan interaction, and what's their reaction, and how do they treat that? Because I know, like, when he went to Oxford, Maine last year for the Oxford 250, and everybody he talked about how they welcomed him up there, and it seemed like the fans were really excited to have somebody like Bubba, who's won almost everything in the United States, to go north, to go up there. So what are the fans like up there in Canada when somebody like Bubba Pollard comes up to run?
The fans are overwhelmingly excited and welcoming of not only him, but a lot of the other drivers that come up here. But definitely there is a big focus on Bubba Pollard when he comes up in races. I think that a lot of people are Bubba Pollard fans, not only for the way that he races and how talented he is, but also for the different ways that he speaks out on racing issues that a lot of people want to talk about, but usually go the wrong way. I think that Bubba, and I think a lot of other people also agree to this, he's very articulate. He's great with his words. He knows what he wants to say on these issues, and he gets it across, and I think people definitely notice that. But yeah, the fans love him up here. You see a ton of Bubba Pollard shirts, whether he's here or not. And once I came back here, and people were asking me, they're like, "Oh, like, you're at this race with Bubba, like, isn't he so cool?" I was like, "Yeah, he's like one of the coolest guys that I've met. He's just down to earth, he's funny, and he's great in a race car." So
Connor Sullivan chiming in, and he says, personally, I'm looking forward to seeing the ROC mods and the ISMA super mods from Jukasa live on Summer Thunder in a few weeks. Modifieds mainly, hashtag modifieds mainly. And he also said, and I quote, guys, we're all being colleagues here, guys and gals. Connor says, Mark, and I quote, I think track bites is really an act to sabotage any potential summer weight loss for me.
Hey, when are we going to get track bites from Canada?
Yes,
we need to get some
Canadian
poutine.
Food.
We need some poutine on track bites.
yeah, I'll definitely I'll order some poutine for you guys at a couple of different tracks.
Wait a second. What is
which one's the best.
hang on, Kendra. What is poutine? Poutine, whatever.
Poutine. It's
Poutine.
poutine.
What is poutine? Yes.
I know you guys are gonna think this is crazy, but poutine is just French fries, cheese curds, on top, and then on top of that you put like brown gravy, and all the cheese melts, and that's what poutine is. It's from Quebec.
Now, I'm going to tell you something. We're talking about food here. Mind, you're getting hungry. My stomach is growling now.
Oh, me too.
My friends from Canada, friends of the North, were down at Bubba Raceway during the speed weeks, okay? Got to hang out with an awesome group of people that run Mod Light cars. And John Prince, he's one of the Mod Light founders of Mod Light Quebec. You might know him, Kendra. But anyhow, he had presented me with some Canadian chicken salad and crackers. And that was the most delicious. My mouth is watering thinking about it here on Morning Bullring. That was the most delicious chicken salad I've ever had in my life.
So what is the difference between a Canadian
I wish he'd mail me some.
So what is the difference between a Canadian chicken salad? Is it chicken
I have
with an
no
accent?
idea. The texture's just more chopped up and granulated. It's just, I don't know. It was Canadian chicken salad.
Maybe we're just better at making, Canadian or chicken salad, because I've never heard of a difference between the two. So maybe your friend's just a really good cook.
I didn't know it was something he got at the grocery store.
Probably the chicken. He probably got the chicken at the grocery store.
It's weight in kilometer or whatever you call it.
Nailed
It's
it.
in Fahrenheit and Celsius.
Kilograms.
Yeah.
There you go.
Kilograms is the word you were looking for,
They
Mark.
chill it in Celsius. So
Hey, Kendra, final question before we let you go here. I'm looking at your race car. Beautiful number 2 Mobil 1 machine on our desk here for the set for the Morning Bull Ring. So when are you going to be racing again? Sometime this year in 2019.
I actually run a regular Saturday night program most of the time. I was supposed to run last night, and unfortunately, we had a part break in practice. Luckily, actually, it happened in practice because it would have been horrible if it wasn't. We had a problem. I went out. I'm like, sounds like, something's skipping. Might be motor. Maybe we're out of gas. Let's go in because, I just want the easiest fix. I go in. We put some gas in the car. I go back out. There's just me and one other car on the track. And I do half a lap, and I say, come over the radio. I'm like, Dad, something's still wrong. Definitely sounds like motor. He goes, all right, stay out for another lap or two. I'm like, yeah, no problem. And as soon as I finish that second half of the lap, I come out of turn 4, and the left rear tire, hub, and rotor fly off the car. I slide along. Luckily, I didn't slide along the racetrack on my chassis. It was actually the caliper that on our car held it off the track. But so I slid down the track, no tire, axle falls out. Who knows what else fell off? And we spun around completely, but I kept it off the wall. So that's how my race went my practice went yesterday. And hopefully we're able to get it back for next Saturday at Sunset Speedway. And then from here on out, it's basically every Saturday until the end of September.
Yeah, that just looks like a freak moment on that car right there.
we're looking at a picture of
yes,
it from your Twitter account right now.
Tom Ryan has stalked your Twitter account.
He always does, I bet. He's always trying to get the good content for your show. Yeah, it was pretty rough. I got out of the car, cursing a little bit. I was angry. I was like, I knew there was a problem. Like, why couldn't I have just found out what it was before? It's a little devastating, but I got out of the car, and not only that, but the snout, it's torn. Like, there's a lot of damage to my car. So it's definitely heartbreaking to, go out for a couple laps and have that happen to you, but it's really comforting knowing that, okay, obviously there was something wrong, and now we'll be able to figure out, what was wrong and fix it before we're actually in a position where we're going to be, wrecked by other cars in a race because, we have a part failure. So it's disappointing, but it's definitely a good segue into, less wrecks.
All right. Well, Kendra, thank you so much for joining us here on the Morning Bull Ring. As always, it is great catching up and chatting with you. Enjoy your time up in summer days of Canada.
Summer days.
Yes. Tom Ryan.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Hey, hang on, Kendra. Tom wants to say something.
Thank you, Wesley.
Okay.
Before we go, Kendra, are we going to be having a recap from APC this weekend?
we will be having a recap from Delaware. Tom, you're going to be so proud of me. So the first recap we put out was pretty good because Ducasse is really, really well lit. I lost a cord to my light, so I had no light. So I was glad that it was bright there. But I found it, so I even have my, I have my tripod set up for my recap. I have my light on all these drives. It's just going to be extra good. So I hope everybody heads over to the 51 Network and watches that. That'll be ready soon.
All right. Well, Kendra, thank you so much. Have a good one. Stay cool in Canada.
Stay cool. Yeah, for sure. Thank you guys so much.
Kendra Adams, one of our colleagues at Speed51.com, joining us. What's up, Zach? What were you going to say?
I was going to say Kendra was saying something and you talked over her.
I'm sorry. I thought she had hung up.
She wasn't done.
No, she
not
was talking.
done. I was trying to hear what she had to say.
My apologies. Jimmy Smith, he said that we didn't acknowledge him, so we'll acknowledge him real quickly.
It wasn't him. Says, good morning, fellers. Wondering if y'all heard Dylan Smith got his first Mid-East Modified win Saturday night.
Yes.
I believe that it was at Cherokee.
It was.
Yep.
Yes, it was.
Congrats to him. So Jimmy Smith went live on Facebook. There is no better thing than seeing a proud dad on Facebook. Kudos to the Smith family.
That's right. Definitely. And then, of course, a big dylan to Mr. Dylan Smith. So I was thinking for a second there I was talking about Mamba.
No,
different
Dylan Smith.
Dylan that raced at Millbridge a bunch and has been racing modifieds for a couple of years. So it's cool, good for them to get a win.
Cool deal. So what was you were trying to do the temperature in Celsius for Canada, for Kendra?
No, she does it in Celsius. They do Celsius up there. So the Freedom Units thing actually goes back
2017 Snowball Derby.
Okay, Zach knows.
Yes.
What's the story behind this? Tell me.
It was his
it's
comment,
my story.
So, yeah.
Yes. We made the trip down to Pensacola the day before everything kicks off or whatever, and we went out to eat at I think Applebee's or something like that. And of course at that point it was December, so she's looking at her phone and she goes, "Oh man, it's insert really low number here right now back home." And I was like, "Okay, but why is that in Freedom Units?" Just as an offhand comment, and like the table just fell apart in laughter. So that's been my running joke ever since with Kendra is Freedom Units, whether we're talking Celsius, kilograms, meters, whatever the case may be.
And somebody just said in regards to the Canadian chicken salad that I was talking about earlier, it's the mayonnaise that they use. I have no idea.
Yeah.
So mayonnaise is different in Canada.
I guess.
Possible.
All I know is
or maybe they just use a different kind.
Whatever Ron Prince and his Quebec Mod Light Series
it's
team
Quebec,
gave.
not Quebec.
Quebec, yes.
Quebec.
Friends of the North.
Maybe he's right.
Quebec.
I doubt it.
Quebec.
And it's
it's Quebec.
poutine, not poutine. There's no Y
Look,
in
I
it.
didn't even know what the hell it was until
I don't know how you haven't heard of poutine. I didn't say poutine. Stop saying poutine. There's no Y in it.
What is it again now?
Think of the Russian president. It's poutine.
Poutine.
Yeah.
There you go.
Not
Nailed
Putin.
it.
Poutine.
And she said it was like French fries.
It's French
and
fries
curds.
covered in cheese curds, covered in brown gravy.
See, I've never
It's like
had...
a national dish of Canada. How
Hold
do you
up
not
a
know
minute.
that?
Raising my hand. I've never had cheese curds before.
Out of all of us here, you're the only one that's been to Canada.
But I've never had cheese curds before.
Well, I've been to Canada. But...
You've never had cheese curds?
No.
What is wrong with you?
Oh, that? Sorry.
There's a Culver's 2 exits down.
Okay.
They're not. I mean, you'll
Take
get
yourself there today for lunch.
It's not Canada cheese
go down
curds.
to University and go to Culver's and get yourself some cheese curds. It's not quite the same as like
Going to Wisconsin.
Yeah, why can't I think of the track? State Park Speedway, hands down, best cheese curds I've ever had in my life.
Have you been there?
But yes.
Oh.
We actually drove all the way up there, watched practice, and then ended up getting rained out. But I'll tell you, they got it going on there because they have a full bar. So the bar was packed. The cheese curds were unbelievable. And so on a rain out, they had a packed house that stayed there and drank all night.
I want to go to State Park.
State Park is an awesome track. State Park Speedway and
play hockey.
It's Wausau. I can never pronounce it right. It's I'm like Wesley. It's Wausau, Wisconsin, or
Wausau, Wisconsin.
Wausau. But it's
Wausau, Wisconsin.
No, it's not Japanese.
Wausau.
Good Lord, Wesley. Yeah.
I thought he was almost going Budweiser there.
Wausau, Wisconsin.
Wausau.
big fan of music right now because it means we're going to break.
All right, we're going to break
Get me
before
outta
this
here.
spirals more out of control. Raging Bull is
Stop
breaking
yelling.
it. Raging Bull's breaking it. We'll be back with more Morning Bullring. Hour number 2 rolls on here in a moment.
The Ultimate Surfers.
Time to get this cranked up on Short Track America.
Dirt or pavement, from east to west. Short Track America features some of the biggest grassroots races around the country. Super late models to street stock racing. If it's on a half mile or smaller track, it's on Short Track America. On MAV TV, Motorsports Network.
Welcome back to the Morning Bullring. Kicking off your Monday and, Zach, your July 1st. It's officially July 1st.
I can't believe it's already July. It seems like just yesterday we were going to Dillon for the New Year's Bash Street Stock race.
So are we officially halfway through the year? Am I right, Mark? Cross flags are out?
Halfway
through the year?
Calendar year, yes.
We're halfway.
The calendar year. Not the race season, but the calendar year.
We're halfway through the year.
Okay,
Yes.
yes, we're halfway.
To
And for the
July.
record,
There is
Wesley,
no off-season,
for
no
the
morning
record,
racing.
I was about to say, when is the off season?
Yes.
For the record, Canada is North America. So,
Our friends of the North, as I said.
no, you said that you asked if Canadian short track racing is like American short track racing.
Okay.
It'd be like U.S. short track racing and Canada racing. It's North
So
America.
actually, Canada, even though it's another part of the country,
it's the same continent.
it is the same continent as North America.
Yes.
You're right. I'm sorry.
It's a different country.
That's just
though.
going on the lack of sleep here, basically, is what
That ain't no excuse. You got here at 6:30. I was here at 4:30.
I was here on time, but I mean, I arrived
But
in
your
Charlotte
on time
at
is
3
2
o'clock this
hours
morning.
later.
No. Come on now. You gotta
Your
give me
on time
props.
is 2 hours later.
What?
Later than you
Exactly.
showed up.
Yeah. Let's just go to the phone line.
You look puzzled.
Yes, always. But
Let's go to the
I'm cueing you.
Hyperco Performance line. This man pocketed over $20,000 in modified racing. Ronnie Williams joins us on the Morning Bullring. Ronnie, was there any race in the modifieds this past weekend or week that you didn't lose?
Yeah, I lost yesterday to the rain, so that sucked.
Okay, say he lost to the weather. There you go. Hey, Mother Nature counts, right? So 4 out of 3 out of 4 ain't bad.
Yeah, it's not bad at all. I mean, it sucked not racing at Thompson yesterday, but I'll take the sweep this week.
He won at New Hampshire, Seekonk, and Stafford.
and talk about, that hot streak you've been on this week. I mean, what has it been like going from race to race and somehow finding yourself in victory lane every night?
Yeah, it's been pretty neat. You haven't really had a lot of time to think about it. I mean, we raced last Sunday in New Hampshire and won that, and then go work on Monday, go work on Tuesday. Next thing you know, we're at Seekonk on Wednesday, and a day later we're at Stafford. So haven't really had a lot of time to actually sit down and think about it, but it's been fun. When it comes like this, you want to keep riding the wave and enjoy every moment of it.
Yeah, Ronnie, I was going to ask you that question, but I mean, 3 different racetracks. New Hampshire, obviously the Magic Mile, big mile track, kind of flat for the NASCAR facility that you won there. And then, of course, you go to Seekonk and Stafford, 2 totally different race venues as well. How do you set your modified up for all winning 3 events?
Well, that's all the guys I drive for. I drive for Gary Casella and the MRS, the 25 car. They're from Sawdust, Mass, so they're about 2 hours away from me. So they have 2 cars. They busted my balls all week saying how they stayed up until like 3 o'clock in the morning getting it ready for Seekonk after Loudon. And I mean, it showed. We went there. We were pretty fast right out of the get-go. So it was just basically up to me at that point doing my job and getting that win for them.
And at Seekonk in particular, we had that race on Summer Thunder TV on Speed 51, and the pit strategy was a really interesting part of that race as I was watching it. Was there any factor leading up to the decision to pit when you did, as opposed to later in the race like many of the other front runners? What led into that call that ended up being the right one?
Yeah, well, it was kind of weird going into that race. I'm like, there is no way we're going to be pitting and like win this race. I don't think people pit here. I think we just got to save tire. And around lap 40, I started getting a little loose off, even though I was saving a good amount. And Gary came on the radio, said, well, it's not going to get any better, so might as well pit now. And it just happened to be that other guys probably were getting a little loose too, and they decided to come in a little later. So in that aspect, it worked out, but I don't know if we would have gotten through 15 cars if those guys didn't decide to pit and just stayed out, because that's a tough track to really pass cars and get to the front after you're back in 20th.
And we've got Connor Sullivan, the Con Dog, chiming in on the Facebook feed. And he points out, fairly I might add, we're talking about the 3 races you won this week. It sounds like everything's just going, rosy and peachy for you, but you've had to overcome some adversity, had the engine issue at practice before New Hampshire, and then a flat tire and an accident at Stafford. I mean, it hasn't all been, just smooth sailing for you to get to these wins. What does it take to come back from adversity such as those issues in those races?
Yeah, you kind of you take it day by day. I mean, with Loudon, it was a 2-day show. We blew up on the first day, so those guys made the decision to go back to the shop and put the other motor in that car, and I mean, it paid off. Like, while you're racing on the last lap, you're not thinking about like, oh crap, like we blew a motor yesterday, like all this stuff. You're just going out there and you want to race. And at Stafford, that was a little different. We were involved in a wreck, like you said, on around lap like 40, 50, and yeah, that one I thought we were done. I'm like, oh, this sucks. I'm like, my plan of saving tire and staying in the back really didn't plan out, and luckily, we had a fast enough race car. I think we saved a lot throughout the race to where the car was okay after the wreck, and a lot of guys burned their stuff up. So had to come from the back twice almost, and battled Keith at the end and just got him in those last 2 laps.
And, of course, you are looking at highlights. He's mentioning Stafford and the bad luck he had there, but you're looking at highlights. Being a member of the Speed 51 Network, you can see it from Seekonk Speedway, from New Hampshire, from Stafford. Of course, Money Man, Ronnie Williams, picking up the big show. Hey, John Monroe has a question on our social media, and he says, is RW, are you taking over for Big Money Matt Hirschman?
It's just 1 week. I mean, Matt's done a lot in the modifieds, and he's won a lot of races. So I just want to go out there. I just got to keep winning, and that's when you show up to the racetrack. That's all you want to do. So no, I'm not taking over the name just yet. But you always love winning those big money races and being there to contend at the end.
And, of course, again, you are looking at some of the awesome highlights of the event from Seekonk Speedway. Ronnie, what is your thoughts of modified racing in 2019?
I think it's been pretty strong. I raced like you said, Stafford and the SKs, and I think we've provided there, and we have some of the best competition at Stafford. And then in the MRS, the competition is strong, but I think modified racing in general is going in the right direction. I think there's a lot of the guys that have come up through the rankings. Like you see Ryan Priest right now, he's done a lot for the modified community, and other guys like Ted Christopher passed away 2 years ago now, which seems a little weird. So it's just, I think there's a lot of guys who have come through and guys that are very talented. And it's cool to see, like, I was watching a little bit of your guys' show earlier when I woke up, and you guys were talking about Andy Seiss. So him getting a shot in the Cup Series. So it's cool that some of the modified guys are getting a chance now.
Yeah, I have to say, big kudos to Andy Seiss, and he was watching on the Morning Bullring earlier. He might still be watching, but somebody that has paid his dues, Zach, in modifieds, like Ryan Priest did. Look at where Ryan's at now with a full-time Cup Series ride. It just can't be these drivers in full-fendered cars. Open-wheel drivers like Ronnie Williams, like Andy Seiss, like Ryan Priest. They're talented, Mark Keeler.
Well, look at Jimmy Spencer, look at Steve Park, the Bodines. They all came from modified racing, so you're absolutely right. We can't take our eyes off modified. Ronnie, what's up next for you? What's next out of the gate here in the next coming weeks?
Yeah, we got Stafford every Friday night, so that's a weekly occurrence. But the MRS, they race at Monadnock this Saturday, which we won at about a month ago. So looking forward to heading back there. And I'm sure there's some other MRS races coming along and some tri-tracks, I think, at Star at the end of the month. So I think we have 2 to 3 races every week, which it's awesome to be in a race car and going to compete for wins with the cars that actually can.
Well, Ronnie Williams, thank you so much, buddy, for joining us on the Morning Bullring. Continued success, man. Money Man, giving that nickname Matt Harshman a run for his money now. Congratulations in dominating 3 in a row. Hate Mother Nature got you at Thompson last night, and continued success throughout 2019. We'll appreciate you being on with us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Again, Ronnie Williams. I kind of caught on to that. I thought
Just so
there was going to be talks of him driving Matt Hirschman's modified car, but I got that.
Hirschman's nickname isn't Money Man. It's Big Money.
I know it's
Matt
Big Money.
Hirschman.
Yes, but it still involves money. It involves
there's a lot
money.
of them that involve money.
Yeah.
But it's just not Money Man. So
Money Man, yeah.
If any of them want to give me a little money, that'd be cool.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll have some more great talent for you as we rock and roll here on this Monday, July 1st. We're
going to pull an audible right after the break, and joining us on the line is going to be Dave Mazzillo, the promoter of the Crown Jewel Weekend at Bearfield Motorsports Park up in Indiana. So he's actually going to be joining the show right after the break. Wasn't on our original guest list, but we're going to get him on here in just a few minutes, so stick around.
There you go.
Audible.
So we're going to Audible. I love that. Audible called like football. It's on the show. It's on the Morning Bullring. Only Raging Bull could pull that off. Back with more in a moment.
The Fast Track National Tour races into I-77 Speedway on Friday, July 12th, and Tyler County Speedway on Saturday, July 13th.
Speed 51's video network, where the battles are legendary. Get the full picture on short track racing. We will take you behind the scenes.
It's just a meathead.
Your track, your driver, your sport, your passion. Dirt, late models, modifieds, and more. Race highlights, recaps, interviews, historic races, and thousands of on-demand videos. The Speed 51 Network, short track racers' home for the greatest video coverage.
It is exactly 1:30 of 8 a.m. Monday, July 1st. Welcome back to the Morning Bullring. Hashtag more short tracks. Hashtag the Morning Bullring. Zach, Mark, Tom, Wesley here with you. And we are going back to the Hyperco Performance line. And joining us is a first-time caller, the promoter of the Bearfield Motorsports Park in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Every time I hear of Fort Wayne, I think of Rumbling Fort Wayne, that big indoor show in December. But this is a big event going on called the, of course, upcoming Crown Jewel Weekend. Dave Mazzillo joins us on the line. Dave, good morning to you. Welcome to the Bullring.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on.
So talk about this exciting show that is coming up in a few weeks.
I think it's the most exciting, biggest race we've got in Northeast Indiana. We've got racing from Friday to Sunday. We've got front-wheel drives going for $2,300 to win with starting 40 cars. And then we've got the CRA Street Stocks on Saturday going for $5,000 to win for 60 laps. We got the CRS trucks coming in. We've got the JAGS Sportsman's. The CRA Sportsman's coming in. The CRS, yes. Yeah, little excited about this whole thing. Got the JAG series coming in. But the biggest thing is we've got 60-plus modifieds pre-entered for a 30-car field going for a potential $20,000 to win.
That's phenomenal. And by the way, you mentioned the CRS trucks. I'm very good friends with Billy Strill, and I do a lot of announcing for them for special events from time to time. Matter of fact, coming up, I was supposed to do a race at Beckley for CRS ARCA. They're actually the ARCA trucks. They're the old ARCA trucks. Well, they're not really old. They're basically what used to be the branded ARCA truck series. But it's cool to see them still kicking, and you're bringing Billy Strill's CRS truck series there. And all of the CRA sanctioning bodies, from the CRA Super Series to the JEG CRA All-Stars, Modifieds, Street Stocks, a big show. And in addition to that, it's going to be raced on the 3/8 mile and the half mile. Talk about that idea.
Well, we've got a unique track, so we try to utilize it as much as we can. We utilized it with the grocery getter race that we have, and now we're going to use it for the modified. So all the racing will be done on the half mile for the modifieds for their heat races. You got to race your way into this race, so you got to qualify, heat race, transfer out of your heat race, or if you don't, you got to run the B. If you don't transfer out of that, you run the last chance race, and then the first 100 laps gets run on the half mile on Sunday. Then whoever wins that race will win $10,000. And we move on to the Jake's cars for 100 laps in between, and then we bring the field back out that ran the half mile. There'll be an invert, and then we'll run the laps on the 3/8 with utilizing the same car and the same driver for another $10,000 to win.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I'm looking at the schedule of events here, and I think I said CRA Super Series is actually the JEG CRA All-Stars, the CRA Street Stocks. The Modifieds are, of course, that big show you were talking about for $20,000 to win. It sounds like it's just going to be a smorgasbord of any type of racing entertainment, stock car-wise, that you can think of that's going to be at Bearfield.
Well, we would have brought some more in, but we just didn't have enough time on the clock.
Gotcha.
I think it's going to be the biggest thing there is. This is going to be an annual thing. Basically, every July 4th weekend is when we're going to do this, and we'll probably just keep mixing it up. I mean, next year we might be, another division might be going for the possible $20,000 to win.
You mentioned that the unique facility you have allows you to put on this special format for the modifieds, but what was the process like, to reach that, to have that thought even pop into your head? Like, it'd be cool to use both of our tracks for one race and make the drivers and teams adjust to running those two. How did that thought process, what percolated into coming into that?
I always try to think outside the box and something unique that nobody else can do by utilizing the two tracks. I mean, I would really love to have a race one day called the Double O. They used to do it up in Michigan a lot. It'd be a race, and you take a lap on the 3/8, and the next lap would be the half mile, and you'd alternate back and forth. But I just can't see to get anybody to want to do it.
That's almost like those flagpole races you see. I think that would be really cool. We need to make that happen. You think?
I had the Auto Value bumper-to-bumper non-wing sprint cars there on Saturday, and I was horsing around with those guys in the drivers' meeting, and I offered $50,000 to win race, and I had two people that took me up on the offer, but nobody else wanted to do it, and Aaron Pierce is one of them, and he said he'd do it. 50 laps, Double O racing style. He says, let's do her tonight, and nobody else wanted to do it.
So you're definitely thinking outside of the box up there, and I think that's great to see for any promoter at any racetrack. But real quick, can you put out your website address and all your social media stuff for fans that want more information, not just on the Crown Jewel weekend, but on Bearfield Motorsports Park?
Well, Mark, Dave, I wanted to add to that also because you are excellent on social media, Dave. I love seeing you reaching out to the fans and stuff like that on Facebook. So definitely give Dave a follow for whatever he says for his social media networks here.
Yeah, you can follow us on BearfieldMotorPark.com, and then Bearfield, I think it's Bearfield Speedway, or you can just type in Bearfield Motor Park on Facebook, and you can catch us there. And yeah, we hit it out of the park with our social media. We try to get those people wherever you're at. I mean, north, south, east, or west. We want you to go to a racetrack, whether it's mine or any racetrack, and take your race car with you. I get, when we don't race, I get guys that says, man, I said, why didn't you go race? Well, I didn't want you upset with you because I went to another track. I says, I'm more upset with you that you left your car on a jack stands than taking your car to a track. I mean, we need more people to get out there and see what the local short track racing is all about.
Well, Dave, thank you so much, buddy, for joining us here on the Morning Bullring. Hope you have a great, successful show at Bearfield Motorsports Park. And real quickly, throw out the dates of when that event will be coming up.
Well, it all kicks off on July 4th with a parking, band, and fireworks. And then Friday, we get right at it. And the schedule's so huge, so it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That is this weekend, July 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, for that matter. 4 big days of racing at Bearfield Motorsports Park. And, of course, thank you again to Dave Mazzillo joining us here on the Morning Bullring. That's going to be a big event. I mean, I would just be cool to just be a fan to sit in the stands and see the format with racing on the different tracks.
When that announcement first came out, I was just, amazed at the concept of it. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how it plays out. Hopefully it's a great success. It sounds like, at least from an entry list standpoint, it certainly is. So really looking forward to seeing how that plays out.
And I think, I want to go into this subject while we're getting ready to get our next guest on the Hyperco Performance line. We need, as promoters like Dave Mazzillo and other people, for instance, Ron Barfield, he did an event yesterday called Freaky Nick 2019, and the place was a car, bike, music show. 6,000 people. Place was packed. Lakeview Motor Speedway doing what they did with bringing back supers after 23 years. A big show there. Look at what Dave's doing at Bearfield. We need to think outside the box, Zach, of just doing regular short track, dirt track, drag racing events and come up with big ideas to get the butts in the seats and get a buzz back in the community about hashtag more short tracks.
And you know what? It's not just the big ideas. And don't get me wrong, promoters are very important in that. And you need more promoters and not just track operators. I firmly believe that. But there's little things you can do, too. And it doesn't have to be the promoters. It can be the fans, too. I'll give an example this weekend. I was at Fairground Speedway, Nashville. So I'm set up on my camera perch, and fan beside me, young lady, actually, at some point during the evening, I didn't notice it because I was busy, but she had talked to these 3 kids sitting in the row in front of her and asked them what their favorite color was because she knows they were pretty into the racing going on.
Blue. You're wearing blue.
My
color's blue.
I don't know if any of the 3 kids said blue was their favorite color, I'll be honest. But then during a break, she went down to the souvenir area and found just 3, little racing champions die cast from the 80s. One of them was the Tide Ride, the Ricky Rudd, number 10. I remember seeing that one specifically. I can't remember the other two. But she made a point to buy those 3 cars and bring them back and give them to the kids. She didn't know, them from anybody, but they were at the track, and she took that moment to make that gesture to give them something to remember the race from and get latched on. That's what we got to do all together to get young fans, everybody involved in this racing thing. It's, it's a team effort. It's got to be everybody buying into this to make short track racing as big as we can make it.
Yes. Tom Ryan. Mark.
I agree 100% with Zach. Dave's your guy in Fort Wayne, so.
And somebody else who really gets that whole, the interaction part as far as promoting goes is Stan Narrison at Montgomery Motor Speedway. And I'm going to use that as a segue because on the performance line right now, we've actually got Augie Grill as the Southern Super Series Super Late Models get ready to head to Montgomery this weekend.
All right, so we go back to the Hyperco Performance line. Joining us on the program is the driver of the car number 112. He resides out of Hayden, Alabama, and it is Augie Grill. Augie, good morning, my friend. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
2-time Snowball Derby winner at Five Flags Speedway and getting ready for the big event for the Southern Super Series that will be at Montgomery Motor Speedway in Alabama coming up. Talk about that coming up this weekend.
Yeah, just looking forward to it. Don't get to run the Super as much as I'd like to much anymore, but you're going to have our guns loaded and see what we can do this weekend.
And by the way, I'm doing good, my friend. You asked me that question earlier, so I just wanted to say I'm doing very well. That's what a great thing to do than waking up on the early Monday morning, always a manic Monday, and talking about short track racing.
Yeah, not too early. I got 3 kids. Luckily it's summertime, so I don't have to get up super early. But I'm used to getting up early with them and helping them get to school on time. So not too bad of a morning so far.
Augie, I mean, lately anyways at Montgomery, we've seen you a lot. You just won the Modifieds of Mayhem race there a couple of weeks ago, and a lot in the pro late models. But and you mentioned you don't get to do the super late model as much as you want to do. So how cool is it going to be to get to a track, you're very familiar with, you've had a lot of success there, and it's a really good track for late model racing. So to be able to get the super out and go with the Southern Super Series, tell us about that coming up this weekend.
Yeah, it ought to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a hot one, I'm sure. It's always hot this time of year down around here, but it ought to be a good weekend. I know Stan does a great job keeping the track up and promoting events like this, so hopefully we'll have a good crowd and a good car count and have a good show. And
I'm sure that if it's 100-plus degrees, Stan Narrison will have that delicious watermelon that he always gives to everybody in the drivers' meetings.
Let's hope so. Maybe, he did it at the Modified of Mayhem race the other day, so hopefully I have 2 or 3 for us. It'll definitely help out. But yeah, I know it'll be a hot one, and I hope everybody can stay hydrated and just keep themselves, cool the best they can.
Well, Augie, we have a graphic on the screen here that of course shows your 2-time Snowball Derby winner, and but I want to take you back a couple of years ago when you won the Snowflake race. And the level of happiness that you showed in Victory Lane when you got out of that car, and in some ways it almost seemed like maybe even a sense of relief to get that big win, on that weekend in December. What does that mean to a guy like you? You've won 2 Snowball Derbies, but there you were, in the pro late model Victory Lane with the Snowflake race, and how much did that mean to you?
Yeah, it was just a neat thing. I don't know, I qualified bad for that race, and I still know I had a good car, and it was kind of funny. After qualifying, the amount of people that walked up to me, is everything all right? You gonna be okay? And I just had a smile on my face. Said, yeah, I think we'll be all right. And just to be able to start that far back and just kind of work my way up through there, and to pass who I passed there at the end, and it kind of made it extra special. Me and him before then had a few run-ins, and but to be able to beat him was kind of neat. And just there again, no more than I get to race much anymore. It feels good to be able to win a little bit of a bigger race like that. And I don't know, that I jumped out of the car, and at first it wasn't that big of a deal. Then I got to looking around. All my friends and family was standing there, and just kind of the emotions got the best of me, and it showed. And I just really enjoyed it a lot.
We are talking to Augie Grill, two-time winner of the Snowball Derby, winner of the Snowflake, one of the respected super and pro late model drivers in asphalt racing in the country. Augie, in addition to that, you're also behind Great American Race Cars, and you have been a very big helper to the young lady of JoLynn Wilkinson. And JoJo was joining us here with me and Bob Dillner and I last Monday on the Morning Bullring. She got a big win after 2 starts coming back from that horrific crash back in April. Just talk about, as being a driver and then being a friend to JoJo, the relationship you have with that young lady, and just the road to recovery and helping her get back on the winning track so fast.
Yeah, she's come a long way in the last couple of years. She's still got a little ways to go. She works hard at it and really loves it. But she is a 15-year-old girl and has the things that 15-year-old girls have go on. And she's in school and got her boyfriend and got her this and got her that. And the wreck was definitely a setback for her. That's a less for lack of words, a shot in the arm, really. She kind of was improving, and that happens, and you don't really know where she's going to go from there. And I think she recovered fairly quickly to have pins put in her foot. I think she did a good job coming back, and the lack, no lack of confidence. She jumped right back in there and was out battling with the guys again. And I think her plan here in the near future is just kind of stay with the quarter miles up at Huntsville and Sayre, and just kind of get her feet back under her good. And I know she won the other night, and that's a great accomplishment. But she's just got some work to do that I think she can get at those smaller tracks just as easily as she can racing at Montgomery or Pensacola or Nashville or anywhere like that. So she's going to go with that for a little while and see what happens, and hopefully we'll see her back at some of the bigger tracks here for long.
Now, Augie, I was there actually on that Friday night with that wreck with JoJo. I was actually the one that filmed it, but one of the first people up to that car, once they got, everything pulled away and got her safely away from the car, you were one of the first ones up there to look over the damage and to see. And as a race car builder and, a friend to that family, what goes through your mind in a situation like that? Because, like I said, it actually kind of impressed me a little bit because I saw that you were one of the first people up there to take a look and check over the car and make sure she was all right and everything. But as the builder of that car, what goes through your mind in that?
Just, it was kind of surreal watching it live. I was there to actually run the race, and we had an oil pump problem in practice, so I didn't get to race. But just watch the whole thing unfold, and her spinning there, and when it made that last turn and came back up the track, and I saw out of the corner of my eye the 5 car coming, it just, from then till she stopped moving, the car stopped moving after she got hit. It was just, like I said, kind of surreal, and it took me a second to actually realize, wow, that was a really hard hit. And I started walking down that way, and by the time I got down there, her dad, John Boy, was already up at her window, so there's no sense of me running up there and getting involved and getting it crowded up there around the window. But I was just honestly just curious to look at the left side driver's door and make sure the chassis did its job. And I did. I got up there, and it gave where it's supposed to give, but luckily she was narrow enough, and her seat was narrow enough, and nothing between her and the door bars, and it didn't hurt her any worse than it did. But it's just a tough spot to be hit. As Billy Melvin well knows from the snowball weekend with his modified, just you get hit in the driver's door or anywhere on the left side, especially that place. It's not 180 miles an hour or nothing, but still a car at full speed hitting another car that's basically stopped that's a heck of an impact. And like I said, to see that the chassis did its job and withstood the impact and nothing broke, everything moved like it's supposed to. I was pretty proud of that, and just always looking at ways to try to keep everybody safe. Or we don't want anybody hurt, and I know it's inevitable at times, but I mean we got to do everything we can to keep everybody from getting hurt, especially these younger kids keep coming up and in racing. I mean, old dog like me to break an arm or a leg it's not as big of a thing as a 15-year-old girl. So we just got to try to keep everybody safe.
Well, taking off the builder's hat and putting the racer's hat back on here for a little bit. Montgomery was in the news just a couple weeks ago. Of course, the protest with Bubba Pollard and Anthony Campy Racing. As a racer, and you've been around that scene for a long time, even before you got into the driver's seat, back in the Wayne Anderson days and things like that. But as a driver, when you see two teams come together and protest and question things, what's your take on that and how it was handled and just the whole procedure in and of itself with protesting?
I thought it was handled very professionally. I mean, Bubba had in his head that something was wrong with what he protested, so that's what he went with. And honestly, I'd heard from 2 or 3 different people that there was something there. But I mean, until they pull it out and check it, we'll never know. So he protested, and they did that, and found out it was legal. So we'll just go on about our business and try to get better and outrun that car. It gets kind of frustrating as a racer or as a car builder, as a whatever, to have to go to the racetrack and outrun these teams that are way overfunded from the rest of us, and it's just it's getting harder and harder to do. And I'm afraid that's probably one of the reasons, we're seeing fewer and fewer cars. It's getting harder and harder for your average Joe to take a car to a racetrack and have any kind of chance to outrun anybody. So it's, I heard y'all talking before I came on about how to get fans to the racetrack. Well, if there's no cars, there's been no fans. So that's one of the issues I think we should kind of work at is just ways, not necessarily to keep the money out of it, because there's no way to do that. I mean, the racers are going to spend money, don't get me wrong, but put some rules into effect to where the item that got protested the other day, you can't even run that in a car. I know years ago when I first started really winning races back, I don't know, 06, 07, I had a digital tack in my car. I mean, mechanical gauges, but had a digital tack, took a 9-volt battery, and all you had to do is wire it to the MSD box at that point in time. And Ricky Brooks said I couldn't run that anymore just because it was digital, and he kept hearing that I had traction control in that tack, that one item, and I couldn't run it. And now, I mean, we got full digital dashes on these cars that are, I've seen $2,500 to $5,000, whereas you can run all the gauges you want mechanical and have $400 or $500 in it. That's just, to me, that's some of the areas we need to work on in our racing to try to keep the costs down, to make it to where the average Joe has a chance. But it's like I said, it's getting kind of frustrating as a racer to have to worry about outrunning things like that, and just knowing that the other money that's behind that, if they don't have the dash in the car, what else have they been able to spend 10 times on what the rest of these guys can? And I don't know. That's just something I hope we can look at and do something about in the coming years. If not, I'm afraid to see where we're going in the next 10 years.
So let me or let all of us in a little bit on the psyche. From a competitor standpoint, do you almost kind of, are you hoping that the protest fails, or does it take wind out of the sails a little bit when things come back legal and right, and you just got to find a different thing to work on?
No, I mean, I'm always skeptical. I mean, when cars are winning, that's the best opportunity for everybody to think that they're getting by with something, and that's not always the case. I mean, the better racers are going to have the better cars and have the better races. I mean, they're going to win the majority of the races, and I mean, it's proof out there all the time. I mean, that you can change the rules 100 times, and the same 4 or 5 guys are going to win all the races, and that's just how it is. So, I felt like when they tested it, if it got tested like it needed to be, that it probably was going to be legal. But I didn't know. I guess I had in the back of my head, well, what if there is something there? But I really didn't want it to be illegal, because then it just I don't know, the racing world will go in a whirlwind, and who knows what would happen next. But no, but that, there again, that's just something I feel like we shouldn't have to worry about. It's laptops in the car, during practice and all that. It shouldn't be a part of this kind of racing. It's the money trickling down from Mooresville, Statesville area is crazy. But I know how it is. The dads with the money, with the kids, they want to go somewhere and race, and they're going to spend whatever it takes. And that's, like I said, that's what's hurting our racing as much as anything to me.
I think that you have opened up or continue to reiterate, open up the Pandora's box of what this discussion is on the digital dashes and all the stuff that went on there with the protests at Montgomery. I got a question for you, though, Augie, because as long as I've known you, which is probably about a decade or more, when, back on the old ASA days of the, Southeast Asphalt Tour and, of course, Super Late Model Racing, Pro Late Model Racing, I respect you about as much as Bubba Pollard as well with your talents in racing. Have you ever considered dirt racing? Has there ever been a time Augie Grill has said, man, I want to race a dirt late model or dirt modified?
No. It's what I do for a living. If I was just driving a car for somebody, maybe.
Because Bubba races on dirt.
Yeah, but he's got a dirt track in his backyard, so, that makes it easy for him.
That's true, yes.
But no, I ran a dirt race in a friend's car, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, and it was fun. But, at the end of the day, there's mud all over the car, and my kids had dirt and mud all over them, and it just, it was fun, but it wasn't something I wanted to drop what I was doing and go do. I guess I'm too much of a neat freak for that.
So I take it that you did not enjoy coming back from the racetrack and having to take one of those 2 a.m. showers to get the red clay mud off of you.
Well, actually, it was a pretty well-run show. It was here 15 minutes from my house, but, they had 15 classes and 150 cars, and, I was back home by 10 o'clock. So, we rolled in there at 6 o'clock. I got 2 laps of practice, 2 laps of hot laps, qualified and ran our feature, and I was back home at 10 o'clock. So, that's one thing I wish the asphalt promoters could kind of look into and take some note on. It's just, we show up to track, it feels like sometimes before the sun comes up, and we're there long after the sun goes down. And I don't know, it's just long, grueling days when it didn't have to be that way. We don't need to practice 18 hours for a race.
I was going to say, Mark needs to ring the bell that he always uses for the first-time caller, but he needs to ring the bell because you're ding, 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 ding. Dead correct on that. Promoters, series, they need to figure out a way to condense their programming, their scheduling. And you're a driver, and you even say that yourself.
Yeah, for sure. There again, I'm 42 years old now, so these long, hot days are getting harder and harder on me. And we show up at the racetrack at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock, and there till 10 or 11 or 12 at night. It's just it's tough. It takes half a week to get over that, and especially this time of year. I don't see any reason, let's say the race at Montgomery this weekend. I don't see any reason we couldn't show up at 4 o'clock, practice for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. Because I think there's only 2 other divisions racing. Let them have 2 little 15-minute practice sessions, qualify and race. It doesn't seem that difficult in my head. I know there's a lot of things that go into work for a day at the racetrack, but dirt tracks do it all the time with 15 different classes. So there's a way. There's a way. I know there is.
You're exactly right. Well, Augie, thank you so much for joining us on the Morning Bullring. Continued success throughout the 2019 season, and good luck at Montgomery this weekend. Happy 4th of July to you.
Thank you, guys. You too.
From Hayden, Alabama, Augie Grill, one of the greats of Super Late Model and Pro Late Model Racing, Zach.
Definitely, and you know when he shows up, especially at Montgomery, he'll be one of the people contending for the win. So no doubt we'll be keeping an eye on him this weekend.
And I think my favorite thing about guys like Augie and Bubba,
they speak their mind.
Well, no, not just that, but when you see them at the track, everybody's talked about some of these kids in racing, and I've been very vocal, here and there about the kids that show up. They get out of the car from practice, they go into their air-conditioned motorhome or toter home and debrief and all that crap that you see at NASCAR on Sundays. You go to the racetrack, and I would challenge any one of those kids to walk around with Augie Grill, and Augie's watching every race car in that racetrack. He's up on the hauler. He's watching the guys turning laps in practice. Bubba Pollard, the same thing. I love watching Bubba because he'll stand at the front of the race car and he'll lean his arm on the jack handle like this, and he's just staring at his race car. But man, you can see the wheels in his head turning, and he doesn't just that generation of racers. They can actually turn wrenches on their own cars, and they're not afraid to. And Augie, sometimes at Montgomery, he'll have 3, 4, 5 different cars. He'll be under Perry Patino's car, and then he'll be over at JoJo's car, and then he's working on his own, and then he's got the modified and the Prolate and all this. And to me, that's what makes those guys 2-time Snowball Derby winners and to have the success they have. I mean, a lot of people don't know Augie was crew chief long before he ever drove a race car.
That's right.
He said it. He didn't start driving until, I think, 06, and it didn't take him long to have success, but he knew the race car. So when he's sitting there feeling different things and driving it and want to make changes, he knows what those changes are going to do. And I love watching guys like him and Bubba who study the competition as much as their own race cars. They don't just disappear. They're watching how everybody's getting in the corner. You'll see Augie Bubba and like Casey Roderick during qualifying. If they're late in the draw, they'll be down in the corner in 1 and 2 at Montgomery, watching every car that drives through that corner, trying to figure out where they can beat them. And I think that's missing with this new generation that's coming up.
Tom, you want to reiterate on this?
Yeah, just what Mark said. I've been down in the pits and recently, as in Bristol, and he's down there helping out his customers, teammates. He's always down there, and it's a really fun dynamic with him and his father.
Oh, yeah. Frankie Grill is a classic. And you'll have Augie standing there working on a car, and Frankie, you'll be sitting on a tire, probably smoking a cigarette. And but to watch them, and Bubba's the same way, and to just see the wheels turning in their heads. I would love to tap into Frankie Grill's head and be able to download the knowledge that's in there from him and his kid. And, I mean, the stuff that they've probably forgotten more about racing than all 4 of us will ever know combined. And it's just a lot of fun. If you're a fan at the racetrack and you can go down into the pits and literally just stand by their hauler and watch them, it's great.
Well, and make sure you don't get in their way, because I remember about 2 years ago, I'm sitting there videotaping him, and I think he brushed the wall or something, and I was 100% in his way. And he's like, "Would you mind moving?" or something like that. And he was polite as could be at the moment. And later on, he came and he's like, "Sorry about that." I'm like, "Dude, you were in the right. I was in the way. I needed to move back."
You were in the path of the tornado, Tom.
Correct.
Yes.
That's not uncharted territory for Tom usually.
Yeah.
At the racetrack.
I like being a hero.
Yeah. that he does. I just took Augie's.
I did some brave, Mark, I don't know if you saw this on Twitter, Zach, when you were in Nashville. I did some brave Twitter camera shots this weekend at Lakeview. Like, I literally got up to the wall with my digital camera. And there was one point where there was a race car. I want to say it might have been Ben Watkins or Dalton Wilson. He came at me, and when he came at me, Zach, the back end of the car acted like it was going to turn. And I thought the chassis was going to hit the wall where I was standing at. And I thought about for a second, I'm about to bail here. And then I stayed right on it, Tom. I didn't let you down, buddy. I stayed on it till it was over with and got that camera shot. And by the way, it's on our Twitter coverage at speed51.com, part of presented by PFC Brakes for our Twitter coverage.
Speed51.com.
Right, DOTCON.
Yeah, you got to say the DOT.
Yes.
You need to be 100% safe, though, Wesley. I appreciate you getting the shot, but just everybody out there, you just need to be careful. Daryl Canfield sent out a message for a fellow photographer. His, got struck over the weekend. Sending our well wishes out. I think just 2 broken ankles. It could have been a lot worse, but just people be careful out there, please.
And remember, if you're in the pits, anywhere at any racetrack, race car has the right of way, period.
And always watch where the cars are.
Yeah.
Never turn your back away from the race cars.
Head on a swivel. As you saw earlier, I was wearing my vest just because it's cold. I had my special green shirt on this weekend. That's why I wasn't wearing a vest. Plus, it was 1,000 degrees in Lakeview.
And I mean, even, we saw it Friendship with the Fast Track Series, one of the support divisions. There was a car that actually, there was an accident in turn 1 and 2, and the car went over the wall on the inside in turn 1 and 2 and ended up in the pit area, which fortunately nobody was standing there at the time, so everybody was safe. And it ended up being kind of funny because then the car needed a tire change because it had a flat tire. Well, it's already in the pits. It doesn't even he just ran with the tire to where he had come to rest inside turn 2, but it could have been a really scary deal. Unfortunately, everybody was aware of their surroundings. You never can be too safe.
We've got to be safe, whether we are in the race cars, whether we are officials, media people, and, of course, the race fans. We're going back to the Hyperco Performance Line. Joining us on the program is Alex Pruney. Alex, good morning. Welcome to the Morning Bullring, Alex Pruney.
Good morning, fellas. Thanks for having me on.
Well, I'll tell you what, a big show for you coming up. It's right around the corner, Wisconsin. And the Slinger Nationals, jet fighters inside of a gymnasium, as Bob Dillner says. I found that out last week because they always use that quote for like Bristol or Martinsville, but it started at the Slinger Nationals.
It's Dick Trickle who started that anyway. Sorry, Alex.
But it was for the Slinger Nationals, though, right? Correct,
yeah,
Alex?
Yes, sir.
Cool deal. So you're the defending Slinger Super Speedway track champion. Just talk about how the 2019 season has been for you.
Yeah, we started playing out with some different setup stuff, really trying to make gains. You won championship, but you're always trying to get better. And kind of struggled the first couple weeks, ended up fourth a couple times, got in a chain reaction. But the last 3 weeks, I think we got 3 seconds and a win. So things are starting to come together. Summer's finally here. I don't know what happened. It's been 68 degrees, and all of a sudden we got pounded with 85 degrees and full humidity. So just in time for the Slinger Nationals, we're getting heated up and, just starting to get into a stride and going on a hot streak.
Alex, I would take, though, 85 degrees up there in Wisconsin. It's
We
like
hate it.
100 and something degrees here in the Carolinas, my friend.
Yeah, like I said, we've been used to 68 and sunny with no humidity, and all of a sudden we just get blasted with all the high heat and humidity.
So it's ironic that my colleague is joining me, Zach Evans, on the program because me and Zach traveled back at the beginning of June up to Michigan, to Bullring Raceway, and it's like 90 degrees flying from North Carolina going up to Michigan. But when we got to Bullring Raceway, it was like 50 degrees and wind blowing and chilly, and I'm like, well, this is beautiful weather for June, but I guess you want those types of conditions up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, certainly it makes a big difference when we're racing just because we have so much more tire wear when it gets hot and the cars get so much tighter. So it's actually, I'm running a totally different setup when it's high heat, high humidity than what we are when it's cold outside. So it's definitely something that we're kind of, be monitoring for the Nationals, and that's one thing that Slinger is one of those tracks that really changes with the temperature because when it gets hot, we lay rubber down and it gets tight down on the bottom and the top side comes alive. So that's one thing that's cool with Slinger is you can get the 2-groove racing and we'll be rolling around the top if it's hot and sticky.
So again, the quote, the late Dick Trickle called it jet fighters inside of a gymnasium. If there is somebody that is tuning in to the Morning Bullring and they do not know about the Slinger Speedway, defending Slinger Super Speedway track champion, describe what that place is all about.
Well, if they've never been there, they got to get there because there's nothing else like it. It's one of the few tracks where you're pretty much wide open, center off, and you're pretty much just holding on. The banking has so much grip that there's a lot of times when new drivers come and they have no idea, what the car is capable of just because of that banking. So, and even it took me a long time to be able to get used to it. And the one thing that's really neat for me is when you kind of take a step back and watch the racing, is just how much side-by-side battles, we have just with the outside lane being so grippy now that they've been putting down the traction compound. And it's just a lot of fun, and I don't think there's anything else like it. Get out there, come see us.
And as somebody who is kind of a local hero there at Slinger, the Slinger Nationals obviously is the marquee event at that track every year, but you've got some really big names confirmed already they're going to be going to that race. Names like, Bubba Pollard, Johnny Sauter, Matt Kenseth throwing his hat in the ring, Kyle Busch. I mean, we could go on and on with some of these names that'll be there. How big of a deal is it to get to race against that caliber of competition at this event?
Well, for me, it's really neat. I've been going to Slinger since I could basically walk. So, I remember growing up, and specifically one memory that jumps out as me is my dad took me in the pits. I had 3 uncles racing Super Lates back at the time, and he just started introducing me to Matt Kenseth, and I got to meet Kenny Wallace, and you really learn to appreciate it just from as a kid. I used to be that 5-year-old kid wandering around the pits getting autographs. I took a PFC brake rotor one year that's sitting in my house today when I was 5 years old, and had all these NASCAR guys autographed that came to the Slinger Nationals. So, for me, it means a lot just because I've pretty much watched every single Nationals for the last 25 years. And to have those big guys come in and for us to be able to just compete and be put on a national stage with those guys and have an opportunity to just make a name for yourself, it's a lot of fun and looking forward to it.
Alex, the Prunty name is synonymous to Slinger Speedway. Talk about just the generations of family, uncles, dads, yourself that have been a part of this great racing tradition there in Wisconsin.
Yeah, so my dad was actually one of the first ones to start running Slinger full time, and he won his first 2 championships in his first 3 years. And I came along in 1992, and he retired, and he started helping my 3 uncles and David, Dennis, and Dale, and I forget the number, but I think we're up over 20 championships as a family. It's something we've always done. I've never known anything different, and to be able to keep carrying on the name it's a mission for me. It's a lot of fun. It's a goal to win championships and keep making the family proud. But it says, I don't know any better. People ask, if you weren't racing, what would you be doing? And it kind of takes you back. Like, I have no idea. This is all we've ever done. And I think it's neat just because I basically see my entire family every day. We're all based out of the same garage. David's retired, but now he's doing tires for me. I started as a kid working on David's car, and he taught me how to do tires. So it's neat to look back and say, wow, I started my career being David's tire guy, and now he's my tire guy. And, same thing with Dale. Dale's helping Dennis now, and it's a big family deal. I mean, we see each other every week, and just a lot of fun working with them.
Well, speaking of, the legacies up there out of that whole area, and, of course, one of the big names to come out of there, Alan Kawicki, and you were the 2016 Kawicki Driver Development Program champion. How much did that mean, both just the program itself being the champion, how much that's helped your career, but then doing it in the name of Alan Kawicki? How big was that for you?
I mean, it was a big deal. I mean, it wasn't – the financial side of it was huge, but I think more of the support side was the real thing that got me into Super Lates. At the time, in 2015, when the Kawicki program came to me, I was still running limited lates, and I was happy doing that. I couldn't physically afford to move up to Supers, and I never really thought about it because, people know how much it costs to run Super Lates, and I'm just a normal kid with a normal everyday job, paying for this stuff with, our handful of local sponsors that we're really fortunate to have. And the Kawicki program came to me and basically challenged me to do better. And at that point, it's like, well, this is kind of my financial. I have this amount of money. This is all I can do. And those guys really pushed me to go to that next level and take my talents to Super Late racing. And for that, I'm forever grateful to TR because I don't think we'd be here in Super Late racing without those guys coming and pushing me. And then obviously going on to win the program, and it just really helped me get all the equipment I needed and got me on track and got a lot of recognition. And we picked up a ton of sponsors, and it's really taken off from there. So without the Kawicki program giving my career a boost, I don't know where I'd be. Maybe still limited late racing.
Well, you mentioned TR and Tom Roberts, and it's amazing, even with the kids that are I say kids, but the people who are no longer in the program, how much that he still stays involved, and he's always on social media and really trying to bring them to the forefront. Your relationship with him, how big has that been?
Well, it's huge. He pretty much became a lifelong friend. He's always checking up on me, harassing me when things aren't going right, and just kind of keeping my head on my shoulders and guiding me to do what I want to do. He's challenged me to go out and win a Slinger Nationals, and he challenged me last year to go out and win a championship. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. We've had a really good car here the last couple weeks, and I know he's coming to town, so I can't disappoint.
And, of course, for fans that are wondering, the 40th Annual Super Seal Slinger Nationals presented by Miller Lite, July 9th. It's actually a Tuesday, so how awkward is that to be racing on a Tuesday?
It's not. I mean, like I said, I've been going to the Nationals for 25 years. It's always been on a Tuesday, I think, with the exception of one or two times. It's normal, and it's a day off work, right? I get to go drive a race car instead of go to work, so that's fun.
And we need more midweek shows. I will get back on the soapbox again, Alex, with you being on here now. We need more midweek shows. I do not understand the cliche of people thinking that we race on Friday and Saturday only. I think midweek shows are great. Now, this Slinger Nationals is 200 laps, and I've looked kind of like at the layout of the track, how banked it is. The quote, of course, is jet fighters inside of a gymnasium by the late Dick Trickle. So 200 laps, how do you pace yourself to prepare to win this big event coming up on July 9th?
Well, we run 75-lap weekly features, so I got a pretty good idea of what I got to save, tire-wise. But that's one thing that we really work on is our balance of the car and long run speed. And I think we'll be all right. Going into the Nationals, it's more of a, staying hydrated and just being physically fit because, Slinger's demanding, whether people like it or not. It gets tough there after lap 150 because you just, you're fighting yourself more than anything. So biggest thing, just staying hydrated, staying fit, staying strong, and keeping your head in the game.
Hey, buddy, what's the G-forces like inside the car going around that track?
I can't give you numbers, but I know it's a lot. Just from going around to, we've run Kakana half-mile tracks to Dells, it's strong. And, I mean, the biggest thing, you start feeling in your arms and your shoulders and just kind of holding your head up. But I wish I could put a number to you, but I got nothing.
I got you. But truly, when you climb out of that car, you need to just kind of have a rest. You got to settle yourself because it's just totally mind, body, mentally, physically, emotionally. It's intense.
Yeah, my dad used to tell me that if I wasn't tired when I got out of the car, I wasn't trying hard enough. So
wow.
I give it everything I got.
Well, hey, how special would it be for you being the defending Slinger Super Speedway track champion to win the Slinger Nationals and beat some of these big NASCAR stars that are coming in to try to come in and spoil the regional super drivers in the country?
I mean, I definitely think it'd be the biggest mark on my career, but we've come close. When Bubba won, I think 2 years ago, I finished second, and we had a damn good car, and that's one you look at that got away. We were having power steering problems. My power steering pump was cracked inside and was physically binding up the steering coming in the corners, and we were fighting it. And to come back from that second place 2 years ago and finally get ourselves one, it'd mean a lot to both me, my sponsors, the family. And, we've had two people in the family already win it. For me to become the third, that would just be a real good day for me.
Well, Alex, go get him at the Slinger Nationals, my friend. Thank you for joining us. Tom, what do you want to throw in there before we let him go?
Hey, Alex, Tom here. I have a question for you. Out at your speedway, what would you recommend for track bites if we were ever to go there and eat something from the local concession there at Slinger? I mean, is it cheese curds or what is it?
Why is it always cheese curds in Wisconsin?
The cheese curds are very good, I'll give you that. But I'm a chicken tender guy. I love the chicken tenders down in the lower concession. That's where I'd be going.
So that's the best thing on the menu it's chicken tenders?
I love chicken tenders. And don't get me wrong, cheese curds are great, but I'm a chicken tender guy.
Zach
I do know they have steak sandwiches. You can get yourself a steak sandwich.
That's Zach's cup of tea right there, man. We go to all these different places and restaurants, and I'll get different things. What do you want? Chicken tenders. Chicken tenders. Chicken tenders.
I'm a kid inside.
What about a restaurant we go to? It's chicken tenders. Go ahead, bud.
Well, Alex, we wish you the best of luck with the Slinger Nationals coming up here in I guess it's 8 days now. So good luck there, and hopefully you can get that marquee victory.
Thanks, bud. We'll see you there.
There you go. All right. So, Steve Ibbotson chimes in, and he says, for most of us working slobs, most midweek shows can't get there. I
can say from my trip to Wisconsin a couple of weeks ago, they seem to get there just fine. Went to Kaukauna on Thursday, Madison on Friday, and stands were packed for both of them. I don't know if that's a mindset thing or what, but it doesn't seem to be an issue for the people in Wisconsin
And Berlin,
at the very least.
In Berlin, when we were there together for the Show Me the Money. Berlin.
No, not Berlin. Berlin.
Berlin Raceway.
Berlin.
In Marne, Michigan, might I add. It's not Berlin, Michigan. It's Marne, Michigan.
Right. Well, it's great. That's a great speedway.
Yes.
Where are you headed this weekend, Leslie?
Oh,
Lot of stuff.
My goodness. I didn't know we were going to do getting to know you. What's your schedule like?
No. We won't do that because
I leave here, go to Toccoa, Georgia.
Yep.
Tomorrow, I'll be announcing at Toccoa Raceway. Of course, we've had that on Speed 51 for fast track events. I'll be at Toccoa Raceway on Wednesday, and then Thursday, Beckley, West Virginia. Friday, Middleburn, West Virginia with the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series and the Renegades of Dirt. And then Saturday, I'll be at Elkins Raceway in Cairns, West Virginia. Sunday at Mansfield for Lucas Oil. And then back here on Monday for the Morning Bullring.
Well, there you go. Well, somebody else that does quite a lot of traveling himself, only he's behind the wheel. He doesn't just talk about it, but he's on the line with us right now. And a huge win yesterday up in the state of Washington. You can't get much further away from us here than there. So Preston Peltier joining us on the Morning Bullring. Preston, how's it going?
Good. Good morning.
My buddy out of Colorado's in the house. How you been, Preston? Congrats on your big win at Washington State yesterday.
Thank you very much. A little tired. We didn't get back to the room till close to midnight, so it's pretty early here for us. So other than that, it's all good.
So if it is 9:21 Eastern Time here, it is 6:21 Pacific where you are. So it's 6 a.m. and you're getting up and doing the Morning Bullring across the country.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to do when you got a racetrack hangover also, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So talk about last night, though. It sounds like you partied hard.
I wouldn't say that we partied hard. You know, I mean, I am over 40 now, and I got a kid, so partying to me consists of crawling into bed and getting everybody comfortable and trying to get a good night's rest.
And by the way, we're looking at something here on our Speed 51 Twitter coverage presented by PFC Brakes, and it says Preston Peltier accepts his $25,000 check from Evergreen Speedway, winning the Summer Showdown by announcing the name of their expected baby, and that is Cohen J. Peltier. Talk about that.
Yeah, so Cohen, he should be here. He's still brewing. He should be here in September sometime. Ashley thinks he's going to be here a little bit early, but that's going to kind of restrict our racing schedule somewhat. You know, I was lucky enough when Jocelyn was born to, you know, go run to Chili Willy, and she waited for me until after Kern, and literally we drove all night from Kern to get there, and she was born the next day. So I don't know if I'm going to get that lucky again, so we're kind of planning for it, and you know, we'll be on baby watch and probably not at a racetrack. So, but I don't know, you know, it's just one of those things, and we're looking forward to it and growing our family and having a good time here on the road.
Preston, the Summer Showdown up at Evergreen, such a big race, always draws a strong field of cars, but here you are now. You've won it 3 years in a row. What is it about that event and that track that you've just figured out?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I didn't really have the winning car this weekend. You know, I probably had a third-place car behind Derek Thorne and Frazier, you know. You know, that thing had some really like raw speed, which is something that we've been lacking in that department here. You know, lately, it's like we've really had good long run speed cars, but our short run speeds just hasn't been there. And if for some reason that was the opposite this weekend, and I think it was in our shock package. You know, we took something that was a little bit different this weekend, and it was a little too aggressive for this place. This place has really gotten rough, you know, even since the last time I was here. So I think that's where our short run speed came from, and you know, we kind of learned from it, and we'll move on and be back next year hopefully, and bring something that I think is going to be a little bit better. But I'll tell you, this routing machine, the big thing is when you're racing at these big shows, it's really nice to have a fast car, but you have to. You got to be lucky too, and when I say that, like Thorne, he ended up breaking and then for us, the cautions fell just at the right times. If we'd have run, let's say that Jason Frazier was behind us and we had to run a 30-lap run, he probably was going to get by us. And we were just fortunate enough that the cautions fell, and that thing was the fastest car for 10 or 15 laps, and then it kind of faded a little bit. So it just played to our advantage, which I could say that it was just luck.
And 3 straight wins for the Summer Showdown. Again, we are talking to Preston Peltier from Colorado, one of the greats of super late model, pro late model racing. Another one, just one of the respected guys like Augie Grill or Bubba Pollard in this industry. Again, the 3rd straight Summer Showdown. What is the mindset of winning that first one, going for the second, and then preparing yesterday going for 3? Was the races similar or different?
They were different, every year it's not, nothing is the same. Actually, we were talking about luck there, and the very first year I came here, we were leading with 6 to go, checked out, had it in the bag, and the alternator had stopped charging early on in the race, and I didn't even think about it at the time, but I noticed my gauges were getting a little dim. It was a night race, and all of a sudden it just started missing, and the battery went dead 6 to go. I mean, we still ended up making it to the end, just barely on the lead lap, and but that was a heartbreak. So I kind of feel like this was redemption for that,
Preston, certainly you've gotten some big track experience of late. You were at the Milwaukee Mile, but Evergreen's another pretty big fast track as well. What is it? Can you describe for fans who maybe aren't as familiar with that Pacific Northwest scene what it's like to race there at Evergreen?
Well, like you said, it's big, it's fast. It's one of those. It's one of those places you're going fast enough that you can really feel the air move the car around, and there's not too many places in the country that you get to experience those sensations. So it is, it's one of those places. It's wore out, it's rough, and I think that's why I excel there. Is it's kind of like Hickory is to me, out on the East Coast. It just kind of suits my driving style. As far as Milwaukee goes, man, that was incredible. I think the Midwest Tour does a great job. I'm hoping to get back and maybe run with those guys some. Midwest Tour, like the Oktoberfest, we're looking at it. We'd really like to go do that, or Slinger or something. We'll just have to see how, what the car owners want to do. And man, I was pretty frustrated after Milwaukee because I cost us the race, and I kind of felt like we were in the catbird seat there, and at the end of the deal, with 20 to go, we pitted, and I was thinking 20 laps is 20 miles, that's a long way, so I started my pressures like I did at the beginning of the race, and it took way too long for those things to come in, and we dropped back to 8th or 9th, and it just I couldn't get back, and I think that's where our program is the weakest right now. Is we don't have a crew chief. I do it from behind the wheel, and at this level of racing, I've done it my whole life, but at this level of racing, it's just not it's not conducive to success all the time. What happens is you're focusing and trying to think of so many things at once. It's like opening, my wife was talking to me about it. It's like opening a bunch of tabs on your your computer, the more tabs you get open, and the slower it goes, and it becomes harder to make decisions. So, yeah, so we're kind of working on that, trying to figure something out so that I could just focus on driving when we get to these big races instead of everything else that you need to focus on.
And fans listening to us this morning can check out recaps from Evergreen, the Summer Showdown, on the Speed 51 network. Be sure to check that out. Preston, we know you're on baby watch. All racing schedules are tentative and subject to change, but especially the case for you right now. But as it stands right now, where can we expect to see you next at the racetrack?
Well, I can tell you with 100%, certainty that we will be at the Derby. I had to commend Tim for making the adjustments to that format that he's done. I'm looking forward to it. I know it's going to hurt him a little bit at that gate, but it's going to save every race team an incredible amount of money to be able to go and run that race, and not have to do those live pit stops. So, man, at this point, that's really the only one that I can commit to. We'll just have to see what they want to do. We're actually building a new shop in Colorado, so we're going to be taking some time to move and get reorganized, and so we might even take a break here for a little while and just reset.
So you got the baby on the way, a new shop being built. You're a busy man right now.
Yeah, it's pretty. It could be pretty stressful at times, for sure.
A $25,000 payday to boot as well, going to Preston Peltier. Preston, real quick, my friend, I got one more question. We'll wrap things up. And by the way, if you look at your watch, normally we're scheduled for 7 to 9:30. We're going into overtime here for this July 1st episode of the Morning Bullring. Preston, racing today, super late models. What is your thoughts of it here in 2019 to where it was back in the 2000s?
Well, man, I talk about this frequently with many different people. Derek Thorne and I were talking yesterday, and I'm of the opinion that super late model racing right now, at this level, anywhere in the country is I don't think it gets any tougher. I don't think you'd have an easier time winning an ARCA race or a truck race or maybe even an Xfinity race. Kyle Busch can come down to this level and he doesn't win every race. Bubba, man, he's always on fire, and when you get guys like Bubba and Majeski and myself and Thorne and Roderick and several other people together, it's tough. It's really tough to win these races. So that's my standpoint. I think that it's definitely it's getting stronger. There's people out there advocating for some changes, and I think it's headed in the right direction, and we'll just kind of see where it goes. But as far as competition wise, man, it's really tough to win.
Last question for you, bud. Of all three of the Summer Showdown races you've won, which one is the most special here?
Man, that's a tough question because like anytime, I don't take for granted to win races at any time. So I don't really have a favorite. Maybe I could tell you that the one that's probably the most memorable is the one that I lost, because a loss like that kind of stings for a little while. So I just have to go with that, and man, I'll tell you, I got to thank the Vecchiarellis and PFC and Tilton, Generator Source, Rowdy Manufacturing, and this Rowdy program. Since we've been on that, really stepped our game up with this deal, and the technology and the information sharing and all the support from those guys is really helped us a lot. So it's nice to be aligned with a company like that and have access to those the notes and be able to call somebody and bounce some ideas off them and kind of steer you in the right direction. So we're definitely looking forward to, a solid future with those guys, and hopefully we'll be back at a track soon and winning races.
Preston, you're the man. Continued success, brother. Enjoy that new baby as well, coming soon.
Thank you, guys. We'll talk to you later.
In my opinion, I've known this cat for almost a decade or more, from my days with the ASA Southeast Asphalt Tour, Southern National, Thanksgiving Classic, big races when they used to run supers. Zach, we're Johnston County boys, so we know about Southern National. Preston Peltier's ran there many times. He's one of the most respected super late model guys in the country.
And for him, it's kind of funny for me because I'll always remember him as the pole sitter for the first snowball derby I got to cover with Speed 51.
Cool.
So
when was that?
2017, the 50th annual.
And don't forget the 52nd running of the Snowball Derby coming up in December. I know we're talking about July, Christmas in July. Well, our Christmas is the Snowball Derby on the Speed 51. Of course, that's one of our big, it's our Daytona 500. It is our marquee show every year at Five Flag Speedway in Pensacola. Tim Bryant, Dave Pavlock, Robbie Harvey, all the great people there have got a great show. And, of course, that will be an exciting 300 laps of super late model racing, as Robbie Harvey does on the promo that I've heard several times before. It's considered the most prestigious short track event in America. Tom Ryan.
I really wanted to have the Robbie Harvey call ready for Augie Grill.
Yep.
Do you want to try and attempt that? How he announces Augie
down to the inside. Contact. Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about his contact.
Well, because you wouldn't even listen
In
to
the
what he
wall.
was saying.
Well, everybody always says that it's his contact one. So,
No,
But he was specifically talking about Augie Grill.
Yeah, but you didn't let him finish.
so you want me to do the Augie?
No, he already did it now.
No, he already did it. Right now, let's go back to the phone line with the first-time caller.
Augie Grill joins
No.
us just a
That was
moment ago.
earlier.
I know, guys. I was kind of playing along with Tom
my gosh.
Ryan. I know this cat very, very well. Picked up a big win at Clinton County Speedway with the Ultimate Northeast Super Late Model Series from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Jared Miley's in the house in the morning Bullring. First-time caller. Jared, what's up, buddy?
Hey guys, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Man, what an awesome performance you put on. $3,000 payday at Clinton County, debuting the Ultimate Series on Friday night.
Yeah, we had our work cut out for us too, coming from 20th, I think it was. So, yeah, it was. The track was really racy, and it was a lot of fun.
He fought through the field from 20th position and got the big win, Zach Evans.
And that's an awesome accomplishment for sure. What was your mindset there, having to race through the field to get that win?
I mean, really the biggest thing you ever worry about is just starting that far back, is getting caught up in, a wreck or something early in the race. So biggest thing is just to be patient and kind of pick your way through it. You got to lay back a little bit first, and then once you get up in there, then you can go for it a little bit more. But we qualified good, and we're leading the heat race and got a flat tire, so that's why we had to start so far back. But it all worked out good for us. Sometimes it works like that.
Jared, as you know, being a member of the Fast Track Companies International family, the Northeast, the Southeast, Mid-Ohio Valley, Heart of America, Deep South, all of our regions have been plagued by rainouts this year. Mother Nature has not been kind to us. How cool was it to finally be able to get back to the racetrack and have good weather for once on a Friday night?
Oh, yeah, this year's been really bad with rainouts around here. It seems like we ran one race at Hagerstown at the end of March, and then we didn't even race again until, I think, the middle of May. So, it's been bad, but here lately, the last couple of weeks, weather's been good, so hopefully it stays dry the rest of the summer.
Jared Miley again joining us here on our overtime portion of the Morning Bullring on this Monday, July 1st, 2019, here on Speed 51. Remember, of course, Speed 51 Network is the official video home of Fast Track Companies International, which is the Fast Track Racing Series, the Ultimate Brands, and, of course, there is highlights of the race from Friday at Clinton County Speedway on the Speed 51 Network, where you can see that awesome performance of Jaron Miley coming from 20th to first. How did you set your car up, buddy? What free, loose, tight, knowing you had to come through 19 cars to get to the front for that win?
Well, the track was pretty slick, and actually we had a lot of work to do after that flat right rear in the heat race. I mean, it completely knocked the deck out of it, the right rear quarter panel. We had a bunch of work to do, so we really didn't even know what we were going to do for the feature. We kind of just tightened it up just a little bit and kind of went with what we knew. So, and I had never raced that track before either, so we kind of had a good idea what tires to put on and stuff. And, we usually do pretty well in the slick, so we just, searched around for a line and finally found something really good on the bottom there towards the end, and, that's what made the difference.
Jared, you just touched on something, and I don't think a lot of race fans actually realize, a lot of the time you said, it was just a flat tire, but it can cause a lot more damage in there and cause you guys. I mean, it's not just a matter of, taking 5 lugs off and putting 5 on sometimes. So, as a driver in a car, and especially like if it happens during a race, what goes through your mind in that instance, not knowing, what else could be damaged under there that I don't think some of the race fans realize? I mean, I definitely take it for granted and don't always realize it myself when you just see a flat tire. But from the driver's standpoint, how is that?
Yeah, like when you have an instance like that where you have a tire that might have a hole in it and it's going down, you have to run something over or whatever, and it explodes. I mean, you got body braces and all kinds of stuff under there that just wrecks everything. So, when that happens, you kind of know when you're in the car, like, how it's gonna be by just the way it felt when it went. But, we usually try to keep all that stuff spares and be able to fix it pretty quickly. But the show was moving pretty quick that night, so we didn't have a whole lot of time. But, that's just part of it.
Jared, you were the inaugural Ultimate Northeast champion last season, currently leading the points after the win at Clinton County. How important would that be for you to back up last year's championship and make it 2 in a row?
Oh, it'd be huge. That was our goal going into this year. This series just works out really good for us, with the tracks in the region and stuff. So, and I feel like it's a bigger regional series than, some of the other ones out there with, you have being paired with Fast Track and, they have different series all over the whole East Coast. So I think it's just the big picture overall for this series is really good. So that's, we're just happy running it, and hopefully we can get us another championship this year.
Where are you going to next on the schedule, Jared?
This weekend here we have I think 3 ULMS series races. We got Thunder Mountain on Wednesday, and then Bedford Speedway Friday. There's a tri-track challenge race, and then State Line Speedway in New York on Saturday, and Erie Speedway near Erie, Pennsylvania on Sunday.
And I love the fact that in addition to running with the Ultimate Northeast Super Late Model Series, you also run other sanctioning bodies with the ULMS, and I'm very good friends with Chris Zuvier, and I hope you guys have a good show there. Super Late Model racing on dirt, so different than the asphalt world. Why do you feel as a super late model dirt racer, why people think that the dirt racing world is the cat's pajamas, the big show now, and we're seeing the decline of asphalt racing? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, to me, it's just way more exciting to watch, and every dirt racetrack, they're just all just a little bit different, and that makes it kind of unique. And I just don't. There ain't nothing like watching the dirt late model race, compared to any asphalt race at all. To me, I just, I guess I grew up around dirt late model, so I'm just used to it or whatever. But I don't know how you could pick one over the other any day.
Jared, would you ever race asphalt if the opportunity came?
I'm not saying I wouldn't try it at some point, just to see what it felt like or something. But like, I would have no interest in, just doing it, all the time like we race dirt now.
But the thing is, though, a lot of drivers that raced on dirt are prominently successful on asphalt.
Yeah, I think that just has a lot to do with your car control on dirt. You're always trying to control your car. Like asphalt racing, I think. I've never driven an asphalt race car, but I would have to think that you would always feel like you have traction, and I think the car would just be a lot easier to drive. Because on dirt, you're just always trying to find that. So I just think it's just a little more balanced, easier to get around.
So what is your thoughts of what Jeff and Rose Compton have done with the Ultimate Super Late Model Series brand up in the Northeast?
I just think it's it's a good deal for a regional racer. Most of us all have to work a full-time job, so you're able to work and still be able to go race on the weekend and race for good money. But we're getting some different tracks than any series I've ran in the past, so that's good to be able to move around a little bit more. So I just think it's a good deal overall.
Jared, is that truck ever gonna finish backing up?
I actually believe it's a lift.
Oh, it's a lift. Okay, it's a lift.
I was afraid you were going to get run over.
Yeah, I can't do much about the noises on a job site here.
No, hey, by the way, we appreciate you being able to being on the job, still be able to join us on the Morning Bullring. Definitely.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Hey, bud, thanks for being on, and continued success. Have a great 4th of July, and thanks again for being on this Monday. Now get back to work.
Okay, thanks for all you guys do for us, too.
All right, man. Jared Miley, winner, of course. Wow, there you go.
We ain't gone this far.
I thought I was going to have to mute your mic. You muted yourself. What's that tell you?
Break time is over. Get back to work.
Wesley, you're turning red.
When I leave here, I'm going to the hotel and I'm going to sleep. Okay.
Okay.
So
can I get that in the signature? Can I get
serious.
that in writing?
I'm telling you.
Wait. Yes, exactly. And I'm going to jump on you here.
I'll be back next Monday. By the way, okay.
Every Monday, Wesley says I'm leaving here and going to the hotel. And 3 or 4 hours later, he's still here, going between Tom's office and my office and Zach's office, and then back to Tom's office, and then to my office. Last week, we all went out to lunch, and I looked at Cody Geyer, and I said, what you want to bet? He's still here when we get back. And sure enough, we pulled in the parking lot, and there was that red car sitting right there. Wesley just doesn't want. We're gonna have see this now. You know why we lock the door and lock you out? Because we have to.
Hey, you can't see me, okay? You can't see me. There's a funny video, by the way. I think Tom will just out of nowhere upload it sometime. So, but yes,
we can't do it with audio.
I'm very tired though. I really am.
It won't be out of nowhere now that you've told everybody.
Oh, but I haven't said what happened though.
Did anybody ask?
No.
Okay.
Hey, look, I know that like I'm the newbie, so we kid because we care. That's what Bob Dylan. I hear that in my ear right now. We kid because we care. But you guys always attack me.
No, we attack everybody. We're equal opportunity.
Yeah, it's equal opportunity.
We got to take advantage of it while you're here, though. See, when you leave, it still goes on for Cody and Zach and Robbie and all that.
Right.
You only see it when you're here. So.
Absolutely. So, well, hey, before we get off here, what are you doing 4th of July? What's your plans?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I'm announcing for 4 nights. Hopefully, I don't lose my voice. But
that would be a
hopefully
shame.
You do.
No, I haven't made a 4th of July plan. So, I'm sure there's something.
So this is Wesley doing.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Oh, we're gonna do it with sound.
Are we gonna play it?
We're gonna try it with sound. I hope there's no cussing on it.
No, there's no cussing. I don't cuss.
You can't see me. Come here. No, you can't see me. Come here. No, you can't see me.
Look out, John Cena. I'm coming for you. So, no, what are you doing 4th of July?
I haven't made any plans. I'm sure there's something to do around here, but I haven't made any plans yet. So
yep.
I don't know.
Mark Keeler, what you got going on for 4th of July, my friend?
catching up on sleep.
You're the only guy that I know that would like shoot off firecrackers in your backyard just for the fun of it.
No, that takes away from my sleeping.
No? All right. Tom Ryan is working on, I guess, trying to sabotage me and play another video. Are you trying to play the full video? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, I can't find it on my phone. I can't believe that.
Wow. I sabotaged it, Tom Ryan.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Ay.
Uh-oh. Never mind. I think he found it. Did he find it? Okay, well, anyhow, like I said, all the races, Tom was already asked me. Tom, what are you doing for 4th of July, buddy, before you find the video?
He's a family man.
Yeah, Tom Ryan will be doing some fireworks somewhere with friends, probably. Buddy I went to high school with lives about 2 miles from me. We'll probably go over to his house, shoot off some fireworks.
Our mime, Robbie Johnston, what are you doing, buddy?
What did
for
you just
4th
call
of July?
him?
Mime. He doesn't talk.
Oh, mime.
Mime. He's not talking. Yes. You got
He
no
doesn't
plans?
know.
He's just enjoying the heat. Hopefully he gets his voice
He done
back.
told you he's got no voice. Why you asking
I know.
questions?
Even if he had a voice, he doesn't have a mic. Is he got like
a mime? A
send out-
mime? They don't talk.
Wesley,
mimes?
it's almost 10 o'clock. Let's get out of here.
It is. Definitely. Hey, so on behalf of everybody at Speed 51, we hope you and yours have a great 4th of July. Enjoy it with your family, friends, loved ones. Get out to the racetrack. Dirt, asphalt, drag, karting, whatever.
Hey.
And be safe out there.
But before
Yes.
you do, go to speed51.com. Check out our Summer Thunder schedule.
Yes.
More than 70 races on there. I'm going to be at Montgomery on Saturday night with the Southern Super Series. So we know that will be on the Summer Thunder schedule. But just check it out. Keep it like front and center.
So
if
you
like
are doing
racing.
something. You are doing something for 4th of July.
No, that's the 6th of July.
Well, I mean, it's still, it's
not the 4th of July. It's the 6th of July.
Okay, well.
You didn't ask what race I was going to this weekend. You didn't care.
What race you going to this weekend, Zach?
Wesley Hart Memorial, Caraway Speedway.
Caraway. Yes. Thank you to all of our guests for joining us. For everybody at the Morning Bullring, for the Raging Bull, Mr. Mark Keeler, Tom Ryan, Zach Evans, I'm Wesley Outland. Have a great rest of your Monday, and happy 4th of July. God bless you all. Thanks for joining us on the Morning Bullring for 100% short track racing. # more short tracks. We do it every Monday.